Part 59. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 582. It was not even the noon time to get off work, and the manager and the chairman were gone. Not only that, but many employees have also left. This phenomenon is naturally strange to those who do not understand the situation. Except for the fact that the chairman is doing nothing all day long and is useless, either black tea or snacks, the manager is absolutely serious and responsible. Unless something happens, I never arrive late or leave early. Leaving early this time doesn't count. In the past, I always dressed up carefully and meticulously, but I actually changed into a maid outfit, although it just matched well. People who know the inside story know very well that it is Chairman Huda and the manager's reputation. There was originally an admiral, but for some unknown reason the admiral left the garrison. Without the admiral, it can be said that there is no reason to stay in the garrison. After that, the two of them took their sisters and opened a company. Recently, it seems that we have received news from the admiral. The work at hand was distributed bit by bit, and the company's shares were sold bit by bit. Frankly speaking, I have no interest in the shares, and if I lose my reputation as the head maid, the company's subsequent decline is almost inevitable. Although Hood is a symbol, a mascot, and a bonus, it is undeniable that he has unparalleled power in battle, and it will be no good if he loses it. In the end, the headquarters of Daedaejian accepted the shares. There were already signs. Sure enough, the admiral came here today and of course he had to leave. Compared to being an admiral, work is nothing. Sugu, Sheng, Huda and everyone else have left. There is no need to continue to stay in the company. After all, no one is in the company anymore. It's not that these people are just here, the specific reasons can be classified into several points. Since I learned the news about the admiral, it wasn't time to leave yet. Although it is said that I will no longer go to distant places to carry out tasks, the company is still open after all. Things that have been ignored just like this can't be done, and some people still have tasks. Some people are like Royal Oak, who don't have much interest in going to work. They spend 3 days fishing and 2 days drying nets. At this time, they don't know where they went. Not to mention little Lolita, they naturally have no reason to be in the company. There were cars going around, and a group of people walked under the rows of oak trees on the side of the road. Edinburgh and Belfast walked in front, while Missouri looked around, also looking at Hood and reputation. She was still very interested in strong people. Having already left, of course the luggage had to be taken away. Sugu was carrying the bag all the way, while Counterattack and Reputation were dragging the trolley suitcase. Except for Sugu, they are all beautiful girls, especially the two maids, who are very attractive. But now Sugu has already adapted to this kind of sight, and completely treats it as if nothing happened. Originally, the company's business was related to the sea. As a ship girl, if possible, she would like to live near the seaside. Along the seashore, the waves rolled up foam and washed against the embankment. Sugu looked at the line of sky and sea in the distance and the small ship docked on the shore. Saratoga told me before that we could buy a huge ship, and then build the garrison on the ship, and we could go wherever we wanted. Then I thought about it, no matter how big the ship is, it will never be as good as the garrison. We went to Washington and boarded a luxury cruise ship. Even if we stayed like this for a long time, we felt bored. The idea of building the garrison on a ship is really unrealistic. I left from the governor's house this time. Many people wanted to come over, and I thought about buying a big boat to take everyone on board. There is no need to take a boat, it is convenient to go wherever you want, and everyone can be together. Thinking about it, there are already dozens of people in the garrison, and there will be at least hundreds of people in the future. I want to get everyone on board, but I don't know how big the boat must be. Money is not a big deal, but I don't know how big the boat is. How many people are needed to operate it? At least it cannot be solved by a captain and an engine. The trouble of daily maintenance and upkeep is not included. Just for an occasional trip, it is too much. Sheng Sheng said, indeed, it is unrealistic to put the house in the car and the townhouse on the ship. Sugu kicked the stones on the road and watched them jumping on the slope and rolling into the sea, making small splashes of water. Then he saw a boat parked not far away, and there were clothes and pants hanging on the bed. He said, many things cannot be perfect after all, the mother-in-law will always want a house. It didn't take long, but it was almost out of the city and into the suburbs. From a distance, the first thing you see is the white wall. Inside are tall villas, and coconut trees are also obvious. Entering from the gate, there is a garden, and there are many pavilions built on the seaside. It is said to be a villa, but in fact it gives people the feeling of a small garrison. Huda smiled and said, our family is pretty good, right? It is indeed more majestic and luxurious than our garrison. Because it's smaller. Actually, our townhouse is not that big. Your place is really nice. It's also your home, Admiral. I put down my luggage in the lobby of the villa, and as I returned to my place of residence, Edinburgh and Belfast suddenly disappeared. The ship girl relies on the Admiral in her heart, but she may not like to stick to the Admiral's side at all times. Just make sure the Admiral is around and can see him when he wants to. Sitting on the soft sofa, Sugu picked up the book on the coffee table without opening 2 pages and said, this place really gives me the feeling of a small town garrison. Then I remembered that the Prince of Wales had directly built a garrison before. Mansion, her garrison is a castle. Just because she is a ship girl, not an admiral, it is inconvenient to set up a garrison for many things. I followed the counter-attack and went to find her, and she imprisoned her for many times. God, the javelin saved me in the end. Actually, it wasn't considered a pass at all. Sitting on the side chair with his hands on his thighs, who had sat with a dignified posture, the Prince of Wales was always resentful of you before he left. He must have been very angry with you when we first met, but it certainly won't last long. That's true. But now we're fine. Missouri was sitting on the side chair as usual. She was looking at the sea and thought it would be nice if a piece of floor-to-ceiling glass was installed as a door. Hearing Sugu's words, his expression was weird. It was strange that the couple had a fight at the end of the bed and had a bad relationship. Sheng Sheng left the living room and came back to bring dried fruits and fruits. She looked at Sugu and said, Master, do you want to eat apples? Crispy or pink? Its crispy reputation still understands Sugu quite well, you probably don't like it. Indeed. No need. Sugu waved his hand and looked around, it sounds like you are doing well. Washington has become a lawyer and opened a small law firm. Apart from her, he only has one assistant. Lexington is at work. I've been to that company, and it's not as big as yours. At this point, Sugu started laughing, and Huda asked, what happened? We went to resign together that day, and I stood at the door of the company with my little house. The boss of the company drove over and asked us what we were doing, so we explained. The boss liked Lexington and probably thought I was a love rival, and then from there they showed off from every angle, hoping that I would give up. Lexington just walked out, and when Xiao Zai saw her, she called her mom, and then called me dad. Before Huda smiled, Sugu said, I remembered a joke. 3 men went to propose marriage to a woman, and the woman's parents asked them to introduce themselves. The first man said, I am rich. The second man said, not only do I have money, but I also have a mansion. The woman's parents were very satisfied and asked the third man, what do you have? The third man replied, I only have one child, and now the child is in your daughter's belly. No, Lexington, it was originally my wedding ship. Xiao Zai is really naughty. Speaking of this, Sugu suddenly remembered the incident he encountered in the morning. At that time, if Sheng Sheng said, "Is there anything I can do to prevent the child from having a father?" that scene would have been wonderful. But think about it, reputation will definitely not play like this. Finally, it reminds me of the pictures I saw online, how the ship girl behaved when she knew she was pregnant. I just remember that the reputation is like this: "I'm very sorry, master. If the child knows that his father is a pervert, please don't bother us in the future." He looked at the reputation. No matter how talented the head maid was, she would never have thought of it. He felt that his master was inexplicable. Hood suddenly asked, "What did Bismarck do before? Don't you know about her?" The ship girl mercenary Black Phantom Bismarck should still be quite famous. But it's so far away here, so it's not surprising that she doesn't know about her. Hood sneered and lost his dignity. "I knew she couldn't do it." Sugu sighed, "You guys, can't you make good friends? You don't know, but Leipzig, Jade and Enterprising have become friends." Hood groaned and remained silent, dismissing Bismarck, and Sugu had no choice. He was actually a little angry when he mentioned this, because these people Bismarck got the photo and learned to blackmail people when necessary, which made people feel more and more troublesome. "I miss the soft cat." Reaching out for a few dried fruits and throwing them into his mouth, Sugu asked curiously, "Well, Hood, do your glasses count as ship uniform?" Hood reached out and took off his glasses to play with. "Not really, but just like the clothes on my body, I have them as soon as I wake up. Then like clothes, I can change them at any time, and my glasses can also be changed. I have a lot of glasses, for example, all glasses, rim glasses, half rim glasses, black rim glasses." "How much strength are the glasses?" "Prefer not to say. Generally, it's not wrong to guess higher." "Whatever, Admiral, you have a guess." "I don't care about my age, but I can still understand it, and I don't care about the size of my eyes. Heh, I remember that every time Xiao Zai mentions you, he calls you Aunt Hood and Grandma Hood." Quite unscrupulous, Sugu sold the small house at once, just like parents who never mind telling others about their children's embarrassing things just to chat. Thinking about it, this shouldn't be Xiao Zai's embarrassment, but should be said to be Huda's. A smile appeared on Hood's face for a moment, then he gritted his teeth and said, "Teach her a lesson when you go back." After talking about some trivial things, Sheng Sheng said that he was going to prepare lunch. Remembering the performance of the British ships in the garrison, Sugu quickly asked what to eat for lunch. "Pizza," Reputation replied. Thinking that looking up at the stars in London is a pie, Sugu suddenly felt a little uneasy. However, Reputation is special, and the head maid should be given some trust. With his reputation gone, Sugu looked at Hood and asked, "Hood, you said you can make cakes, right?" "Yes." "Do you use chopsticks or a whisk?" No need. Hood noticed Sugu's astonished expression. "Prestige will prepare all the materials, and then I will just do it." Sugu was a little suspicious. It was because of his reputation that he finished everything and then handed it over to Hood to put the cake into the oven. Then, okay, the delicious cake made by Hood himself is finished. Probably feeling a little bored, Missouri walked out of the villa hall. Hood was actually a little curious about Missouri. It was beautiful, in good shape, and a rare and powerful battleship. I heard the introduction in the morning that he was indeed a companion of the governor's house, and he seemed to be familiar with the admiral, but he never called him admiral, always Sue. Some people are confused as to what special meaning it has. It is a title only used by lovers and good friends. It's just that I've always been around, and there are some things that are hard to ask, so I ask now. "What is Sue?" "She was called out by York City." "Yes, that's my newly built ship girl. She likes to claim she's dating someone, and then I always ask her to date someone. I feel bad, and then she starts calling me someone from Sioux, Missouri, just joined the garrison." Sugu told the story of what happened in Missouri. I will be away for a few days at that time. The branch of the ship girl in the nearby city, Missouri said that I know everyone, and I can ask you to find news about the wandering ship girl. Actually, we also know people from the nearby Kanyang branch. We are not bragging. We are very strong. When we encounter difficult problems, the Kanyang headquarters will always come to us for help. In the past, we wanted to join the Kanyang headquarters. Lead. Do you still have a reputation? The prestige is only as high as that of the head maid. Sugu smiled to answer tactfully, and then said, Missouri said that Hindenburg is here, and we might be able to fish her out. Do not know. You just said you know the nearby ship girl branch. Reputation recognition, well, Admiral, do you still remember Acasta and Zeal? Sugu had always thought about his ship girls when he had time in the town hall. His memory was a little fuzzy, and he also learned about it from everyone's mouths. Then he remembered all the ship girls who had not returned to the townhouse. Down. Sugu still remembers getting these two little Lolita from the Valkyrie event in the game. I have to say that that event was so conscientious. Many ship girls who were too lazy to fish were fished out from that event. Sugu said, what happened to them? They are considered to be at the ship girl headquarters, in the gendarmerie. Can the destroyer also reach the gendarmerie? Why not? Hood argued, you can go to the battlefield. It still feels so weird. Only in reserve. Speaking of which, I haven't seen them. There are also Saumarez, Legion, and Venus. Sugu paused, took 2 deep breaths, and pretended not to care. There is also M1, my artillery submersible. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 583. Sugu was standing under the eaves, leaning against the white tiles on the wall, chatting with someone. Not my own ship girl, just a strange admiral. As he spoke, he thought about his journey and felt a little discouraged. I found the company in the morning. Although there was a little accident, I still found everyone smoothly. When I returned home at noon, I didn't see any little Lolita, which made me feel a little strange. In the game, among the British ships, Firefly is used more often. At worst, there are destroyers such as Amethyst, Blackback Jackal, Javelin, and Queen that can be modified. For example, many other little Lolita in the British ship don't even have names. Remember? Of course, the exception is the cannon submersible M1. In order to gather a 6-fish team, I still worked hard to build it. After getting it, I also formed a lot of attacks. Although soon, due to Sukhov's gorgeous change of clothes, the M1 suffered a tragedy. Eliminated, Sukhov succeeded in taking the lead. For the portraits of the destroyers in the game, I personally recommend Fantasy and Unchanged Lawfight, but the game is not as good as reality. Even Anthony, Casson Young, and Blaine, who appear to be somewhat magical in the game, are all cute here. Besides, the destroyer is your own destroyer after all, and they are all little Lolita, so you still need to take good care of them. When asked where the little Loli had gone, Hood replied that he was either working as a reserve military policeman at the ship girl headquarters, or studying in the elementary school at the ship girl headquarters. When Xiaoxiang Leiden was in an ordinary elementary school, he had no chance. If possible, it would be better to attend class with a group of destroyer elementary school students. The main topics are more topical, so you don't have to worry about your identity being exposed. In addition to learning cultural knowledge, you can also learn combat knowledge. As a ship girl, even though she is a destroyer, she cannot be treated like an ordinary little loli. After lunch at noon, the head maid is indeed special. Even if she counterattacks from the side, the seafood pizza she makes is still outstanding. It seems that London is the lower limit of British ships, and Reputation is the upper limit of British ships. Of course, it is still not as good as Xianghe, especially not as good as Yuxian's craftsmanship. It is true that Yuxian's cooking skills are unparalleled. Even if it is not Chinese food, as long as he follows the steps, the dishes he cooks will be better than his previous ones. In the guarding palace, the decathlete Lexington gave up the comparison, and Prince San Juan and Eugen, who had been in charge of the kitchen, had also already surrendered. That's it, I finished my lunch quickly and decided to go find the little Lolita. The Canyang headquarters is actually not far away, and it is said that it usually doesn't take too much time for all the little Lolita to walk. In addition, since the ship girl headquarters must be built near the seaside, it can be sailed there, which will take less time. However, although the consumption of the destroyer is small, there are 2 trips in the morning and evening every day, so the little things add up to a lot of resources. Of course, it's not that harsh here. It depends on the little Loli's plan. Of course, we will pick you up by private car on rainy days. Several people passed by, but they chose to take a car instead of walking. Pulling out of the villa's garage, his reputation, his counterattack, and his Missouri counterpart, who did not go with him. On the way, I heard an explanation from Sheng Sheng. Every time Hood went to the ship girl headquarters, he would always encounter teasing, black tea girl, and glasses girl. It doesn't matter if there is no Hood, having 2 maids following behind is enough shit. At the ship girl headquarters, generally speaking, you can always meet 1 or 2 admirals. When I arrived at the ship girl headquarters, I decided to go see the little Loli first. The visit was not important at all. However, Missouri said she would not join in the fun. She knew the boss here and had been waiting for a long time. She brought the trophies just to show off. Missouri just left, it didn't matter, but the girl wanted to take her away before she left, and she kept saying that it would be unreasonable for a person not to have a maid by his side, but you have to anyway. Originally they didn't agree, but Missouri didn't know what was said in Counterattack's ears. Counterattack agreed, but in the end they took Counterattack away. In fact, if you want to say it, it is obvious that Reputation is more elegant. Thinking about it, it is obvious that Missouri is not familiar with Reputation, but is more familiar with Counterattack. After all, they had lived together in the tutelage for so long, and also lived together on the cruise ship for so long. As a ship girl, in an ideal life, there will not be a situation where there are 4 people and 5 groups in a girl's dormitory, each of them scheming and doing one thing in front of others and doing another behind their backs. Whoever they are good friends with is a good friend. They left as soon as they left. It didn't matter if they had a reputation, but the 2 of them searched around the place where the destroyer usually went and didn't see anyone else. Probably in the dormitory, Sheng Sheng said. They don't live here, they go home every day. How come they have a dormitory? There are not only a few destroyers like them in the ship girl headquarters, but there are also many destroyers belonging to the ship girl headquarters. They live in dormitories. Our destroyers are probably in their dormitories. I'm a little confused, let's go over there. I saw Reputation hesitate for a moment and said, Admiral, although it is a destroyer, it is also a girl's dormitory. What I really want to say is that in the tutelage, I can go to the dormitory of whichever destroyer I want to go to. The same goes for the dormitories of submarines and gun submarines, there is no difference. Don't talk to me about being a big man or a little girl. I am an admiral and I can do whatever I want. After all, she is not her own little Lolita. In the end, she can't do it. Really, she can only lean under the eaves of a building and wait for her reputation to bring her back. Only one person, might as well go with Missouri. Therefore, 9 times out of 10, life is unsatisfactory. At the beginning, you have prestige and counterattack around you, but you don't meet anyone. After everyone left, they were leaning against the wall and sighing. That's good, I met the Admiral. A young-looking man, unexpectedly an Asian with black hair and black eyes, then the 2 looked at each other. Originally, let it go like this, but the other party suddenly showed a somewhat surprised expression. You are the Admiral of the Prince of Wales, right? But I soon learned that I had met him at a banquet before. The only time here was when I accompanied the Prince of Wales to a banquet. We chatted about nothing, and the scene above occurred. Why isn't your ship girl by your side? They have something to do, I'm waiting for them. It seems that a deep-sea flagship has appeared recently. Did I call you here because of this matter? No, no, my garrison is in the east, next to Chuangziu. If it's not here, the ship girl headquarters here can't control me as a new city. Chuangziu is famous for its naval academy. Even in the west, there are many students who specialize in come and have a blast. Ordinary people may not know about Chuangziu, but if you don't know about it as an admiral, it would seem too ignorant, even if you are not an admiral who studied in Chuangziu. I thought you were the admiral nearby, so I called you over. After all, the Prince of Wales has such a strong counterattack. If they take action, the deep-sea flagship can also suppress it smoothly. Somewhat curious, Advisor Su asked, what deep-sea flagship? Battlecruiser Der Flinger and battleship Friedrich der Grosse. Sugu remembered the two ships. The first battleship should not be strong. Whether it is strong or not depends not only on the parameters of the battleship, but also on its historical presence. It has been named the deep-sea flagship. How could it not be strong? Well, but there are no attacks so far, and no one is fighting them. However, the combat effectiveness is unclear. The main reason is that their appearance is different from ordinary deep-sea battleships and deep-sea battlecruisers, so they are considered to be at the level of deep-sea flagships. So the ship girl headquarters is ready to suppress it? Probably not. The deep-sea flagship is entrenched in the depths of the sea. Under normal circumstances, if it does not affect the route or attack human cities, no one wants to care about it if possible. Although some people scold them, they dare not attack when encountering the deep-sea flagship. Suppression really does nothing, but fighting will kill people. Think about the deep-sea flagship that likes to attack human cities, which is the deep-sea Yamato. Then I heard that it was suppressed some time ago. After all, the deep-sea model worker, why don't you give me some training? Okay. If the garrison is here, everything will be fine. Sugu really wanted to say, I am the admiral of that garrison, but after thinking about it, I decided to forget it. It was too cool. Do you have any pictures of them? No, I heard that she is not very beautiful. After all, it is recognized in the admiral world that Fortress G is the first, and the deep-sea world is the most cute. Then the deep-sea Tirpitz is second, and the otaku is amazing. And people don't mess with her and she'll hardly take the initiative. Nodding, Sugushin agreed. There was nothing wrong with Fortress G being the first, and there was nothing wrong with deep-sea Tirpitz being the second. Speaking of which, MO navigation has been uneasy lately, and there really is never a moment of peace. Alas, I remembered that some time ago, a garrison house sank with several ship girls. As a bystander, I felt a little sad. Anyway, I will just keep watch. My garrison is fine, so I can let those people scold me for not having a sense of honor. Doesn't it sound like a deserter's speech? Compared with having to die on the front line if we can't win, I still think strategic shift is more important. Sugu said, it's not good to leave without firing a shot. If we're evenly matched, of course we'll have to fight, but if we're crushing them, I don't think it's necessary. If the deep-sea flagship colorful team is still causing trouble for you, it's better to retreat. Sugu must admit that this is indeed the case. Even if it is his own garrison, it will be difficult to defeat the colorful deep-sea flagship. Not talking about the profound stuff, you have Prince of Wales and counterattack, which are very European. Do you have any experience in construction? Sugu told what he heard in the academy, and the other party laughed. It is more effective to build a ship in women's clothing. Well, have you tried Somerez's blessing? That's a blessing from the shaman, right? Do you want to be African? Yes, but some admirals believe that blessing is effective. As they were talking, several ship girls walked past. Sugu tilted his head and saw the other person chanting softly, and finally became excited. Cossacks, Eskimos, look, look, the destroyer Aviel, super cute. Aviel, the schoolboy trader. Sugushun said, Z31, the same destroyer trader. Hillman, same. The two looked at each other, and Sugu was silent for a moment. Begs you. Potter. Fletcher. She is already a girl, so it doesn't count. Archerfish. That counts. U81, have you seen him before? Sugu said, thinking that he had hugged him. There is no such thing as U81, it's just an urban legend. Sukufu, he hugged her as well. I heard it. For a moment, he couldn't think of anyone. Sugu looked at the other person with some doubts, wondering why it suddenly became me. You were commenting next to him, and he said, the destroyer trader Veneto. I only saw the other party laughing. You are wrong, Veneto is not a destroyer trader at all. Although she is a destroyer, it is better to say that the destroyer is a shame. As soon as the sentence came out, the two people laughed heartily. How many little girls are there in your townhouse? Sugu said, there are quite a few. Do you have any experience? What do you think is the best way to abduct a little Lolita? Careful and takes care of others. Count 1. Sugu thought about what his little Lolita liked. Playing more games with them can deepen our relationship. 1 2. Can tell stories. Good. I can sing to them, children's songs, but they learn love songs the fastest. 6 by the little fairy. Great kindness. Saying this, Sugu saw the other party suddenly sigh. It's a pity that getting close to the destroyer means joining the military police. Those people always say that it has a bad influence and that they are perverts. If you ask me, even perverts are called perverts. A famous gentleman. Haha, I like little Lolita, and being a lolicon doesn't mean anything. It's not like I have desire for little Lolita. How can such a cute destroyer extend a sinful hand? In fact, it's like being a daughter controller. In the same way, you can say that every dad is a pervert. Alas, the world always has misunderstandings about lolicon. I deeply agree. After all, how do you think we can get over the gendarmerie hurdle? Sugu thought of Plan M. If the girl dared to bring someone to the garrison, he could scare her so hard that she couldn't walk, he said. Just defeat the gendarmerie. Anything else? Make the gendarmerie our own. What do you think is the limit of a gentleman? Sugu cleared his throat. Sorry, I'm not a gentleman, nor am I a lolicon. Just as he was talking, a admiral sound suddenly sounded. Sugu looked to the side and saw many little Lolita running towards them, and behind them was Reputation with his hands on his apron. Talk about CAO CAO, CAO CAO arrives. He took a deep breath and finally came. Not hearing Sugu's answer, the young admiral stood nearby. As a Lolita fan, he has been to the Kanyang headquarters more than once, so he naturally recognizes these little Lolita. I want to introduce it to others, like just now. I saw the people around me pick up the M1 first and received a kiss on the face. Then he picked up Legion, then put it down, and then reached out to pick up Somares. The last company carried small rifles and wore small military police uniforms, Zealot and Acasta. These two destroyers usually hate Lolita control the most and hate others treating them as little Lolita. They didn't resist when someone unexpectedly picked them up. Nod, the outstanding gentleman and Lolita control even the gendarmerie will show you. But I always feel like something is a little wrong. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 584. I should have thought of it earlier. The Prince of Wales is like this, and so are they. They are all powerful, but the Admiral is not in the garrison. Sugu said, if they hadn't come running over, you wouldn't have guessed it. That's true. While talking, something suddenly occurred to him, and the young Admiral looked at the little Lolita. He recognized all these little girls and had thought of salvaging them before. After all, there was no difference between the Admiral not salvaging the boat and salted fish. But before he could take action, he was reminded that all these little Lolita were famous and had their owners. The ship girl headquarters does allow fishing boats. As long as you have the ability, it doesn't matter if you fish them out or take them away. However, not to take action against a ship girl who already has an admiral. This is not only basically impossible, but also an established rule. And as long as you do it once, don't think about the admiral and the ship girl communicating with you again in the future, for fear of trouble. He also recognized the head maid. After all, she had great strength, opened a company, and was also the guardian of the little Loli. This time, she actually put on a maid uniform, and she looked well behaved. It is said that except for the initial establishment of the company, she still wore a maid uniform without assuming an identity, and it was rare to see her wearing a maid uniform again. In addition, he also knew very well that the most famous sisters in the company were Hood, and there were many more. Even if there were so many people like the Prince of Wales, there are still so many people here, so the people around him are shameful Europeans. The European admirals and the African admirals are class enemies, and their conflicts are irreconcilable. The young admiral whispered, Europeans should be expelled from the Lolita family. What did you say? After all, the young admiral has been working hard in the academy. He has seen those Europeans build battleships easily. Well, I still can't use the word smoothly. No matter who wants to save resources, it is not easy. The thing, in short, others build battleships, and you build destroyers yourself. This has been going on for a long time, and I have become accustomed to facing Europeans. Nothing said. As a typical Lolican, the young admiral was too lazy to talk to Sugu anymore with the little Loli by his side. Although she is not his ship girl, it does not prevent him from playing with the little Lolita. Sugu didn't mind this, and his psychology was not so distorted as to be so exaggerated. I just think the little Loli is cute and wants to say a few words, so it's not a problem at all. Just like having a beautiful daughter, having someone rub your head is no big deal. After all, he really has malicious intentions, and the ship girl can feel it, so don't even think about taking action. Sugu watched the young admiral walking down the steps. He thought it was nothing. However, the little Loli clearly had no good impressions of men other than the admiral. Her long blue hair was tied into a pair of ponytails, and her eyes were squinted as if she hadn't woken up, but she wasn't really confused like Royal Oak. Saumarez watched the young admiral walk up to him, and his expression immediately became wary. The young admiral said with a smile, Dear shaman, can you give me a blessing? Can. The little Lolita Saumarez unfolded her ship uniform, and a book with a thick cover in her hand was turning the pages automatically without wind. Then she raised her hand and held the mobile weapon. The front of the weapon was obviously a white bow belt. A small fort. She hit the young admiral on the head with the bow of the ship and said, I give you a blessing. Okay, you can go. The young admiral walked back to Sugu. Saumarez is so cute. After a moment, he noticed the little Lolita Saumarez staring at him and asked doubtfully, What do you want to say? I give you my blessing, you can go. After a moment's reaction, the young admiral's face really showed a lot of innocence. It's so miserable. Sugu didn't expect the cold-looking little Loli to say such words at all. He said to the young admiral, Ignore them. How can you ignore it? The sea breeze picked up the dust, fallen leaves, and scraps of paper on the ground and flew into the sky. The young admiral whom I had just met finally left. You could see the reluctance in his eyes. Of course, there are many real reasons to leave, and Saumarez is just one. As an admiral, I often end up teasing. In fact, I have a clear understanding of human nature, and I understand that it is obviously unwise for me as an outsider to continue to stay next to the ship girl who wants to be with the admiral. The final main reason was that I saw my own ship girl in the distance, so I could only say let's go and run away. When the other party left, everyone was still where they were. But instead of standing, Sugu sat on the steps, with a row of little girls sitting next to him. In fact, reputation said at the beginning, Master pays attention to image. Sugu said, it shouldn't matter. When he said these words, his reputation was no longer mentioned. As a maid, she could remind her master that she should not interfere with her master and must do things according to her own requirements. Here Sugu and little Loli were talking smoothly. Swan, Akasta, don't you have classes like them? He looked at the two little Lolita, enthusiastic blonde hair with a single ponytail. As sisters, their faces were somewhat similar. Akasta had long silver hair, eyes, and an expressionless face. We are the gendarmerie, and we also have to go to class. I heard from your sister Huda that you are just reserve troops. Sugu has always been good at selling people. You just can't do it alone. How can I become an official military police officer? He is much more enthusiastic and cheerful. The eldest sister said that I need to exercise some more. She put her finger on her lips again, looking like she was thinking, now we learn how to act cute in front of those admirals. Suddenly something occurred to him, and Sugu said, you are fishing and enforcing the law, right? Well, do you know the admiral just now? I know you. I used to be called here by my eldest sister to teach you a lesson. Sugu nodded, looks like he is a habitual offender. Admiral, why did you come here today? This was the voice of Legion. Although there is no attention in the game, compared to those sentimental girls, as a little Loli, she doesn't care about the past at all. We are already working hard to get here. While talking, Sugu looked at Legion. This little Loli's curly hair just reached her shoulders. It was dull yellow rather than golden. Unlike a game, she was wearing a thin black sweater, a knee-length skirt, black stockings, and round-toe shoes. If it weren't for the cute little face, it would be hard to tell that she was a ship girl. Legion said, how to work hard. As soon as I ran here, I haven't walked through it yet, and I haven't rested yet. But why not take a boat or a ride? Sugu patted the little Loli's head and thought, isn't this kid stupid? Admiral, how about I perform for you? Legion was in high spirits and wanted to perform for him. The little Loli was so enthusiastic that Sugu would not refuse. Then he saw Legion unfurling his ship uniform and starting to play the snare drum. It's okay to say that you don't appreciate it. To be honest, compared to the melodious music in Belfast, the drumming of little Lolita is a bit noisy, like a noisy robot. Admiral, give me a hug. This was M1's voice again. Compared to a young submarine, she should be said to be a little Lolita. You can have long wavy hair, either blue or white. In fact, she has two hair colors, which are difficult to describe. She hugged Sugu's legs and blinked with her big eyes. Indeed, among all the little Lolitan nowadays, Sugu has only trained her in the game, and his favorability is probably full, maybe not full, but at least a lot. She wasn't wearing shakushui, she was wearing a long skirt, which wasn't that cute. Sugu looked at everyone, and found that none of them were dressed in the game. He thought of the Tutelary mansion, and everyone in the Tutelary mansion was like this. On the one hand, of course, you can change clothes at will here, and there is also a reason. After all, reality cannot be as erotic as the games, wearing so little, revealing this and that. Not to mention that ship girls only like to show off their beauty in front of their own admirals. If they really dress like a game, The abstinence style Essex is okay, but if they really wear Colorado skirts outside, it is really immoral. I also have a sense of shame. Let's not talk about the ship girl's own psychology. Unless she is inside the garrison, which admiral would want the ship girl to wear so little clothes outside? The less you wear at home, the better, and the more you wear outside, the better. It is undeniable that this is possessiveness. And female admirals are fine. If male admirals were surrounded by such ship girls, they would probably age at least 3 years a year. He stretched out his hand to pick up M1, and the little loli hugged his neck. Looking at his cute face, Sugu inexplicably felt that this little loli gave people the feeling of a slut. Speaking of which, who were you playing with just now? We're in the vampire's dormitory. You didn't react for a moment, vampire. Admiralty V Class 4th Ship Reputation Introduction. M1 added, she always likes to wear a nurse uniform. Sugu said, I thought it was a vampire at first. Legion said, it's not a monster that sucks human blood. I see. What do you study in class? Legion put away the snare. M1 needs to learn how to avoid colliding with everyone. In history, the M1 participating in the exercise collided with a merchant ship, causing it to sink. The battleship affected the ship's mother. There was nothing wrong at all. I am the one who can end the war. M1 put his hands on his hips. It's absolutely true. History affects ship girls. It is said that when the M-class was built, the Royal Navy directly predicted that the M-class could end the entire World War, although the language was completely wrong. Relatively reliable, as a military police reserve, she also has to take classes, and she is also a disciplinary committee member. Acasta said, M1 needs to learn to avoid collisions with people, but she is always confused. We need to learn how to spread thunder, and also there is dodging bombardment. The Legion is noisy in class and has to knock the teacher on the head every day. Saumarez likes to bless people, saying that it is a blessing, and destroyers can also challenge heavy cruisers. Then Venus likes to write in class. Sugu asked curiously, what are you writing? This is a secret. At first, a group of little Lolita ran very fast, with M1 as the leader, followed by the Legion. Venus, who has long blonde wavy hair and a pair of charming blue eyes, was at the back. She gave the impression of a quiet little lady. To be honest, Sugu always felt something was wrong with the little lady. Sigsby is a little lady in the garrison, but in fact he is the smallest goblin. Venus is also a little lady, and then, she narrowed one eye towards him. The secret of Venus, secrets make women more feminine. Sure enough, no one among the little ladies is a real little lady. They met normally and chatted. Sugu remembered that at home, the coffee table was full of dried fruits, candies, and fruits. Since he came to see the little Lolita, he took some with him. He reached into his arms and dug out, and now he took out all the candies and distributed them to everyone. Thank you, Admiral. Thank you, Admiral. I don't want it. Venus' voice. Thank God for giving me food. This was Saumarez's voice again. Sugu looked at Saumarez, thinking that this little loli seemed to have faith, but he himself did not believe in God, so he said, Saumarez. I'm eating candy. Obviously the candy was given to you by the Admiral. Why don't you thank the Admiral? Instead, thank God. Saumarez was immediately asked and said after a long time, this is God's will. She asked you to give me the candy. No, it's not God's will, I just want to give it to you. M1 said, Saumarez prays every day. Seeing the distressed expression on the little Lolita's face, Sugu said, it doesn't matter if you believe in God, and it's also a good thing to have faith. Well, does Saumarez like to preach? Well. Legion said, no one believes her at all. Sugu said, no one believes it, it must be that we haven't found a way. Little lowly Saumarez struggled to open her eyes. Sugu suddenly laughed and joked, if you preach to people, you tell them. As long as you believe in religion, there will be 72 battleships in heaven when you go to heaven. Otherwise, tell them to suffer today, as long as they don't resist, they will suffer in the next life. You can be reincarnated as a European. Acasta said on Somerez's behalf, it's not about preaching to the admiral. So if you want to be a destroyer today, as long as you don't complain or struggle, you can be a battleship in the next life. Sugu suddenly thought of Veneto, and after thinking about it, he decided not to blame this girl. I also want to be a destroyer in my next life, Zeze said. Sugu said the most classic line, have you heard of Amway? Feeling that Sugu seemed to have no respect for his beliefs, Somerez's expression instantly became aggrieved and distressed. Standing aside, Sheng Sheng pulled up the hem of his skirt, walked to Somerez, leaned down and whispered, Admiral, this is jealous, as long as you say you believe in Admiral. It turned out that he cared about himself. Somerez became happy and pursed his lips, Admiral, you are my faith. Sugu looked at reputation. He knew this was happening, but why was he willing to sink into this feeling of powerlessness? Somerez was so cute, Sugu reached out and rubbed the little loli's face. After sitting on the steps for a while and talking a lot, M1 said, let's go home. Obviously, the admiral is back, and the little loli has no intention of attending class anymore. In fact, whether the admiral comes back or not, they don't have much thought about going to class. After all, they are just little lolita who like playing more than studying. They usually just do it out of necessity. Sugu stood up and looked into the distance. If he wanted to leave, he should still pay a visit to the boss here. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 585. When I came to the ship girl headquarters, I found my own delicious little loli, and then the little loli rushed home. However, now that I'm here, I still have to meet the boss of the ship girl headquarters. Of course, this is not a hard requirement, and nothing will happen if you don't meet. After all, you are not under the jurisdiction of the other party. Even if they are said to be under jurisdiction, admirals tend to listen to orders rather than announcements. It's just that the other party is a friend of Missouri, and he is the admiral of Missouri. Hood, reputation, and everyone are not to mention being taken care of. At least they are partners of mutual benefit. As an admiral, I have already arrived, so I still need to meet him, otherwise it will be too disrespectful to others. Walking all the way to the office building, I followed the little loli around the ship girl headquarters for half a circle. I stopped for a moment by the window of the classroom and listened to several people shouting about where they should sit. Then when he mentioned that Acasta was sitting in the second to last row of the classroom by the window, Sugu began to feel that this little loli was not a simple person. In the Tutelary mansion, this position is reserved for small houses. On the way out of the classroom, I met a few ship girls, who were the teachers of several little loli girls. They knew what happened to little loli's admiral, and then they stabbed Sugu twice with their words. Next, we passed by the canteen and talked about what they usually like to eat. They usually eat in the canteen of the ship girl headquarters and go home in the evening. I also met a few little loli friends on the way, such as a vampire wearing a nurse outfit, who was as cute as ever. Finally, he finally arrived at the office building and entered the office. Suguki entered and immediately saw Missouri with an excited expression, and then saw counterattack with a helpless expression. Missouri saw Sugu and said without hesitation, I'll introduce you to my admiral. In this way, Sugu met the boss here, but there was nothing remarkable about the meeting. He didn't have much interest in fishing boats. Okay, I still have interest, but after thinking about it, I thought it was too difficult, so I gave it up. Bar. What followed was nothing more than saying something like I have admired you for a long time and heard about my name for a long time. Of course Sugu didn't believe it and thought they were all polite words. As the other party continued to talk about it, he began to believe what he had been saying for a long time. I have never seen a garrison as powerful as yours. It was able to suppress 3 deep-sea flagships at the same time, and then snatched these things away. The deep-sea king is a model worker, but the deep-sea Ziwi has always been very strong. I have seen it once before. I have never seen the deep-sea Ryukyu. It is said that although it is a light aircraft carrier, its strength is not bad. The strength does not respect historical facts at all, especially the number of carrier-based aircraft released. I didn't expect that Hood and Reputation were both your shipmates. Now your garrison has become even more powerful. In front of strangers, Sugu was embarrassed to brag, and after a little humility, he heard the other person say, "I've known Missouri before, and I didn't expect that she would join the garrison. Seeing that she sometimes doesn't behave in the right way, she is actually very independent. Yes. If she can join your garrison, there must be something that attracts her. It is a very good garrison. So does the admiral, and so does the ship girl. In fact, what Sugu is good at is talking to people and talking to ghosts." After such an exchange, I thought I could at least leave the impression of a courteous admiral and excellent admiral in the other party's mind. I dare not say that he is so powerful that he can make a difference as a hero. Even though he has a powerful garrison behind him, he has not yet left a name in the world. However, it can be said that times make heroes. With so many people around him, he also worked hard to become an excellent admiral. Thinking of the conversation he had just had, Sugu curiously asked about the deep-sea flagship. There was a discussion, but Sugu didn't say anything like, "If you need help, just ask, and I'll be on call if you can't keep your mouth shut." It's easier said than done. It's also difficult to deal with the deep-sea flagship. It's better not to wade into the muddy water. As an admiral, it is especially important to protect your own ship girl. Shortly after leaving the ship girl headquarters, Missouri excitedly talked about the things he encountered, such as when he went in with the trophies and what happened next. Finally, he saw a surprised expression on the other party's face. "She used to be a senior of me and the company, and she woke up many years before us. At that time, I and the company were still new. She had high combat experience and training, but the parameters of the ship equipment were not good. She used to be in the combat team, but now that I have become a leader, boss, or eldest sister, I guess my training level has not been improved for a long time like a company. With my current equipment, I can easily defeat her in practice." Missouri reached out and patted Sugu's shoulder again. "Speaking of which, the way you started talking really sounded like Enterprise." She also likes to speak in that tone and refuses to answer any questions directly. Sugu sighed. "It should be said that the Enterprise is more like me." "Hey, this shameless look makes you look like you. As long as our town government picks up the company, we can indeed be said to look like you. Only a ship girl is like an admiral, and no admiral is like a ship girl." "Good idea, I give you a thumbs up. Everything depends on you. I will give you York City and Bumblebee as my subordinates." "Forget it, the two of them are holding us back." "Well, I asked about the homeless ship girl, but she didn't have any useful information." "I see. Reputation, Hood, Sirius, you have found quite a few. Have you found them all?" "Not yet. I really want to meet Hindenburg." "Ha, you have to cooperate with me when the time comes. I think that guy is really unhappy. In the past, when he was weak, he liked to find people to practice with. If he didn't want to cooperate, it was not enough. Chase him holding you." We left the Kanyang headquarters and took a bus on the way over. Now that we are back there will definitely be no room for so many people. Then Sugu decided to walk back with his little loli, since there was nothing to do anyway, and finally let Missouri drive away. Watching Missouri drive away, Sugu was followed by Reputation and Counterattack, and a group of little Lolita were also beside him, walking towards his home along the coastal road. After leaving the city, There are already fewer cars on this road, and only 1 or 2 cars pass by occasionally. The sea breeze is quite strong on the road, but it's already spring, so it's not too cold. Except for Acasta and Venus, the little lowly walked and stopped all the way. Sometimes they lie on the railings on the side of the road and look into the distance. Otherwise, I would have been kicking pebbles all the way, and then the pebbles would have fallen into the sea by mistake, showing a regretful expression. Somerez is quite good at middle school, but of course not to the level of Amethyst. She holds the scripture in her hand and shakes the gun like a sheep nodding. Sugu hugged M1 and heard the little lowly say, "Sukufu has gone back, Admiral, actually she is not as beautiful as me." Even as a little girl, M1 knew exactly why she was squeezed out of the formation by Sukuf. It's not because Surkuf is better than him. Although he is a little reluctant, he understands that he and Surkuf are both artillery and submarines, and the main force is submarines and fish. Then the main thing is that Sukuf changed his clothes and became beautiful. The Admiral likes beautiful people. M1 performs, "I am a ruthless big ship killer, and I am also a petite and cute bombardment submarine." Sugu wanted to hold M1 all the way, but she was a little Lolita, so she gave up after hugging her because it was too heavy. "M1, go alone." "Men can't say no," M1 said worriedly. Sugu showed an ugly expression. His reputation and counterattack were still there. One was already on the wedding ship, and the other. Bang bang clang, bang bang clang. The legions walked and beat time, reminiscent of a game called Pate Bang. Don't rush home, just walk slowly along the road and enjoy the scenery along the way. Occasionally, I would hold up the little lowly and spin around on the side of the road, and then I would see the little lowly walking dizzy on the road. Occasionally speaks to reputation and counterattack. There are several dormitories in our town hall. The dormitory we live in now is almost full. When so many of you go back in the future, some people will probably live in another dormitory. That building has been renovated. It's okay, but no one has been living there. It was cleaned during the Chinese New Year, and I should tidy it up again when I get back, otherwise it will look like a ghost building. It doesn't matter, just leave it to the reputation. Reputation, I heard you say that some people are on missions, some people are traveling to other cities, and some people have been contacted but have not come over in other cities. And if I don't come over, you should decide to prepare for action at the end of the month. This way it is inferred that they should come before the end of the month, and there are not many days left. There is no way to go out on a mission. The company still has a lot of work that needs to be handed over, and all the finishing work needs to be handled. Because we got your news, everyone is in a mood to have a good trip. Sisters in other cities also have their own. The work is not finished yet. I understand, by the way, when it comes to reputation, don't treat me too much as your master. You can be more casual. You can just listen to what I say. If you don't say it, just refute it. Don't take it as an order. What do you want to do? Just be a maid, but don't treat it as a necessary task. No one can force you. If you want to rest, rest, in other words, be a maid out of interest. Like before, I told her many times to fight back. Yes, now it's slowly changing a bit. The counterattack is neither big nor small. Sticking out the tip of his tongue, he retorted, "Sister, you are the one, not just the head maid, you are the wedding ship. Reputation is not about being a stubborn person. Yeah, I get it." It was already afternoon when I got home soon. We returned to the villa lobby and sat down. Not long after we sat there, the energetic and cute little lowly appeared in the Legion. She invited Belfast and Royal Oak to perform together. Edinburgh wanted to recommend himself as a conductor. I just saw a few people playing their own shows, making all the wrong mistakes and making a hodgepodge of messy things, so I decided to forget it. It was already afternoon, and Sugu decided to have dinner by himself, which was an eye-opener, and then he ran to the city. He has a lot of confidence in himself as a chef and in his cooking skills. It is undeniable that in the guardhouse, he often goes to the kitchen to find Yuxian. The leg fairy is so good, and his skills have improved a lot under his influence. Reputation and counterattack helped him, and the difference between the sisters was quickly revealed. Reputation would do whatever he told him, and then he would always question it when he heard counterattack. Are we going to add salt now? Cold oil and hot oil are about the same, right? So many details. Then she was told by her sister, talk too much. Counterattack really can't lead to the reputation of a great housekeeper, the cute little maid is her selling point. The hard work of preparing a feast was, if anything, discouraging. When I put the food on the table in the evening, I don't expect everyone to praise me full of praises. I respect my cooking skills like a god, so I should at least ask for some praise. However, the feedback I received made me feel a little bit chilled. Admiral, I don't think the food made by my prestige sister is as delicious. What is this? I don't want to eat offal. I want cake and pizza. It wouldn't matter if it was an Italian little Lolita, or it might be French chips like Fantasy and Vaclin, but there are so many British chips that are so picky that it makes people want to throw a bowl. But in the end, the little Loli endured it, and she just complained in her heart that you should eat salted fish and potatoes for the rest of your life. This is the authentic British delicacy. Otherwise, you can go for the chocolate eggplant made in London, the whole egg without breaking the shell and the tomato boiled egg cooked with the whole tomato. This went on until evening, and the dinner was lively. After eating, Sugu walked around the beach outside the villa. He originally wanted to go to the city, but it was said that there were not many shops open at night, so he had to forget it. Geu lay on the sofa in the hall and said some words, and then he decided to take a shower first. Speaking of which, I was never able to take a good shower on the cruise ship. Admiral, let's go together. M1, the influence is not good, please leave. It took a lot of effort to refuse. Master, let me rub your back. Forget the reputation, I'll do it myself against my will. Then that was it, Sugu started to regret while lying in the bathtub. I thought, I shouldn't refuse. If there is a little Loli taking a bath together in the bathtub, it will definitely be better than heaven. She also has the reputation of being the head maid, she has a plump figure, and she is already her own wedding ship, so there is no need to worry. Therefore, hypocritical people deserve to suffer. After washing his whole body, Sugu came out of the bathroom and stood in front of the mirror stroking his wet hair. Sugu encountered a huge problem. Sheng Sheng held the bamboo basket containing her clothes and asked, I arranged for Missouri to be in the guest room. Sure. Then will the Admiral sleep with me or with Hood at night? Sugu didn't know how to answer. After going through so much, he really wanted it in his heart, but he couldn't let it go. As usual, he felt that the impact was not good. Then I heard Sheng Sheng say, otherwise, let's sleep with Hood. I want to sleep with my sister. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 586. She had just taken a shower, and her long blonde hair, which she usually wrapped in a cloth, was hanging behind her back, waiting to dry. Wearing a moon-white nightgown, Counterattack combed her slightly damp hair with her fingers while looking at her sister's back. My sister has short hair and I have long hair. My sister's body is plumper, and my body is slimmer. Fight back, have you taken a bath? I heard my sister's footsteps. Well, the bathroom is big. There are 2 bathrooms upstairs and downstairs. The upstairs is larger. Every room in our townhouse has a bathroom. Pretty good. The owner always brags about the drawings he designed, but it's really very convenient. In front of outsiders, they are the head maid and the maid sister. They guard their status as maids and will never exceed their status. Privately, They are just a pair of sisters. There is really no need to guard their identities as maids. Their conversation seems a bit casual. Reputation said, "You are about to become the master's little companion." Without. The room is not very big, with sliding windows and beautiful floral curtains. There is a desk next to the window with a pen holder, a lamp, and a photo frame containing photos of Reputation and Hood. In addition, there are many documents that look like they are usually brought home. I looked through it in counterattack, but I just put it down after looking at it, unable to see why. There is a bedside table next to the bed, and a foot-operated sewing machine at the end of the bed. It is now covered with cloth, probably to avoid dust, and it has obviously not been used for a long time. On the other side are bookshelves and a wardrobe with a large, full-height mirror. Sheng Sheng was rummaging through the closet, but couldn't find what he wanted for a long time. Then he made a sound of realization, "It's not here. It seems that I packed it up and put it in a box last time, and then put it in the attic on the top floor. I forgot about it." "Sister, do you forget sometimes?" He said that he had a lot of admiration for his sister, and he thought that his sister would never make such a mistake. "I'm just an ordinary ship girl, and I will definitely make mistakes. I did it before, I do now, and I do it during attacks." Counterattack sat on the edge of the bed and shook his legs slightly. "Sister has never made a mistake. If you ask me, the only thing I can think of is that I didn't attack the big ships in the past and only attacked the destroyers. I learned it. Now I have learned to only attack big ships to destroy the enemy's capital ships. Take the head of a general among thousands of armies. Roughly the same. Amazing. No, if you focus too much on attacking capital ships, it's easy to make mistakes and make it difficult to display extraordinary strength." Even though she knew she didn't have it, Sheng Sheng still rummaged through the closet again, and sure enough she still didn't see it. She said, "It's really not there. Forget it, I'll get it tomorrow." "What are you looking for, sister?" "Clothes. I have been wearing your maid uniform, I want to give it back to you." "Sister, take it. I have a lot of maid outfits. Yours is a little too small." "Sister," the counterattack came out in a low voice. It was the same sister she liked. She played the role of a maid in front of the Prince of Wales, but in front of her Reputation, she was just a younger sister. Also wearing a nightgown, her counterattack is like a green apple, and her Reputation is like a ripe peach. In fact, the body shapes of the two people are not very different, at least the size of their chests is about the same, but the main reason is that their temperaments are completely different. She stopped rummaging and walked to the bedside. "Fight back, you can sleep in there at night." As she spoke, she stretched out her hand and spread out the quilt she had folded in the morning. Even though it was spring and the weather was indeed getting better, it was still a little chilly at night. "Yeah. I want to hold my sister." "Are you still a little girl?" "It's been a long time since I slept with my sister." Reputation funny said, "The Prince of Wales is your biological sister, you didn't sleep with her." "No, I only have one biological sister. And I have a room of my own. Although I have slept with the Prince of Wales a few times before, I basically never do it again when I return to the town house." "Why?" "Maybe the master ran to the Prince of Wales' room at some time. I used to knock on the Prince of Wales' door every morning, but now I don't dare anymore. I knocked on the door, and then the Admiral ran over to open the door. I felt a little embarrassed thinking of something," he counterattacked, sticking out his tongue, hoping that his sister wouldn't pay attention. "There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just embarrassing, I'm not on a wedding ship." In front of his sister, Reputation did not maintain his usual butler-like demeanor, and joked, "If you didn't tell me, I would have thought you slept with the master and were already on the wedding ship." The master's character, the master's living habits, the master's preferences. As a maid, you can't ask directly about these things. You need to summarize them from daily observations. In a short period of time, he didn't notice anything. Instead, he saw that his sister and his master had a clear understanding. The master walked outside, and his sister naturally followed him. Compared with the politeness that his master treats him, he treats his sister with the casualness that is natural for an acquaintance and close person. Her face turned slightly red as she fought back, "No, I'm just a little maid." "It doesn't matter, little maid. You should ask the master to give you the ring. I think you know the master better than I do." Xiao Xiao pursed her lips, hugged her sister from behind, and smiled sweetly, "Please, please tell me what the master likes." Lexington doesn't mind occasionally calling his sister Gaga naughty, but Reputation isn't good at it. When Counterattack mentioned this matter, she got out of her sister's arms, sat at the desk, reached out and picked up the pen. "Counterattack, tell me about it, starting from when you met the master." Reputation actually heard Sugu talk about what happened along the way, but after all, it was not that detailed. "When my sister tells it, many things are more detailed and less subjective, making it easier to ask many questions. You must understand everything so that you can become an excellent head maid." She knew clearly that her sister must have asked such a question, and she organized the words in her mind. Then he started talking about his meeting with Sugu, then went on to meet the Prince of Wales together, and then talked about the scene where he had just met the Prince of Wales. Of course, she still hid a little bit, such as a little thing that happened between herself and her master, dancing or something like that. For a long time, Sheng Sheng stopped recording important notes with the pen and paused. His favorite thing now is probably Lexington, right? He counterattacked and wrinkled his nose. "Lexington is not good, it should be Xiaozai, and it will never change. As a head maid, you should not only pay attention to the master, but the entire town. It's just that the master's is more important." Reputation was silent for a long time. He didn't know whether he should ask, but finally brought it up. "Master sleeps with Lexington one day and Bismarck and the Prince of Wales and the others. You put it, tell me all these things. Akagi and Helena are getting married. There are 10 weddings in total. And, didn't the Admiral say that Monday is Lexington and Tuesday is Bismarck? There are no rules. If Sugu were here, he would definitely be indignant and say that you maids have gone too far. And counterattack, you actually wrote down all the dates and nights you slept with. Like those people on TV who are obviously good at being younger brothers but insist on keeping a ledger. In the end, everything ended and it was all your fault. In fact, you were collecting evidence." While listening to his sister's words, he nodded thoughtfully. The master is no longer satisfied with poking and prodding. After all, he is a man, so it is understandable. "Fortunately, I didn't attack the destroyer, otherwise I really don't know what to do." Finally, as she finished her counterattack, she keenly noticed something was wrong. "Where's Saratoga?" Retorted with a shrug, "She didn't." The counterattack was funny. "Speaking of which, when we return to the garrison this time, our British ships will be the largest force in the garrison. Sister, Hood, and the Prince of Wales, you are all wedding ships." He counterattacked and lowered his head again. "How come my sister wants to let Master and Hood be together? Hood is his wedding ship, and it's normal for them to sleep in the same room." That's right. After saying this, he turned around and looked at a wall. That direction was the direction of Hood's room. "I thought that something very romantic would definitely happen between them." Sugu stood in Hood's room, but there was no romance. His expression was serious, because he found a notebook with an essay written by Hood, writing about Hood's secrets. He was a little at a loss at first. After all, for him, apart from his status as a wedding ship, Hood really didn't have much impression. It is difficult to deal with people who are not familiar with each other and have to sleep in the same room and on the same bed. "I wish I had known better and refused directly." Due to the reputation saying that there are no guest rooms, you are the admiral and the wedding ship, so it is natural for you to sleep together. In the end, I can only say, I don't care, you listen to Hood's opinion. In fact, thinking about it again, even if there is no room, it would be better to sleep with the little loli. Otherwise, it feels better to sleep with Missouri, and we have been together for a long time, so Missouri might not agree. If possible, of course it would be best to be so familiar with a really delicious little maid. Well, I have to admit, I'm quite happy to be honest. Therefore, after becoming an admiral for a long time, people have changed and become more and more depraved. Hood is her wedding ship and will never leave her, nor will she give up on her. Well, of course it doesn't mean that I really want something to happen. If I want to progress so fast all at once, I really can't do it. With so many thoughts in his mind and not knowing what to do, Hood was reading a book by the bookshelf in his room. I picked up a book at random. It seemed to be a famous book. I had better put it down. I couldn't read a single word. Put down the classics, continue looking, and suddenly found a notebook on the bookshelf. Thinking that it was not locked in the box, I opened a page. It didn't seem to be a diary, but just an essay by Hood. It shouldn't matter if I took a look. It's okay not to look at it, but one look at it makes people's blood boil. It's certain that this is a secret that Hood doesn't want to reveal to others. Just like that, after reading 2 pages in his notebook, Sugu said with a serious expression, "Hood." Wearing glasses and a thin sweater, Hood didn't know what to do from the beginning. If you ask about your reputation in the evening, ask the admiral to sleep in your room. Although I am on a wedding ship, I have thought about sleeping with the admiral before, but I have never slept together before, and I am a little shy. After all, he is his admiral, and he got the ring. The admiral can also be said to be his husband and his husband. It is natural for him to sleep together. In the end, I can only say, I don't care, whatever the admiral wants is fine. Then get the answer, you can sleep together. That's it. The admiral went to his room and thought about what he would do in the evening. They must sleep on the same bed together. Will the admiral hug him? Then what should he do? Should he resist? A closer relationship is not impossible, but it would be faster. We haven't seen each other for such a long time, how can we meet like this, and it has never happened before. But he is also a man. It's not like he has never seen them before. No matter how gentlemanly or serious those people pretend to be, as a ship girl, she is still keenly aware of the salivating eyes looking at him. In the morning, I could also feel the way the admiral looked at me, the way a man looked at a girl. Of course, compared to the disgusting look in others, the admiral's eyes made people feel a little happy. In short, what will happen, Hood thought, while taking a peek at Sugu, who was standing by the bookshelf, flipping through a book, and then suddenly heard a rather serious voice. Hood. In a moment of panic, Hood asked, "Admiral, what do you want to say?" Sugu had a serious expression on his face, which made people worried. Hood. I really didn't expect you to be like this. Hood immediately noticed the notebook in Sugu's hand. He didn't usually come to his room. Although Sheng Sheng would often come in to clean things, he never looked through things. This is because I didn't pay attention to put it away, and then what I wrote and my secret were read away by the admiral. She rushed to Sugu in an instant, reached out and grabbed the notebook. Mine. Even if you take it away, I've still seen it. Hood's expression turned pale. I didn't. You have a habit of writing essays, and these essays reveal your secrets all at once. Hood held the notebook and shook his head. Admiral, don't talk nonsense, it's nothing. The smile on Sugu's face grew bigger and bigger. You dare to say not? I saw them all and wrote them down. I'll tell you first. Sugu's seriousness disappeared and he became a thief. Bismarck came to the townhouse later than her sister Tirpitz. I saw her in the afternoon. She had short brown hair and was wearing a military uniform. Below is the skirt. As soon as we met, he said, "I am Bismarck, the crystallization of German technology, please keep it in your heart." The first meeting was terrible. I hated Bismarck so much. It's really unfortunate that I have to participate in the exercise with Bismarck. She won the MVP in the exercise again, which is really annoying. I got the Mk6, and she got nothing. I'm so happy. It's obviously Lingbo's ring, but I just took it and I'm not ashamed to compete with the destroyer for the ring. We attacked together and achieved great success. Fortunately, she destroyed the enemy. In fact, the German ships were not that annoying. While talking, Sugu's expression became strange. I saw many short essays in Hood's notebooks, some of which appeared on their own. Even so, they were basically just fake. Then all the essays have Bismarck in them. Although it is annoying to write them all, but if it is really annoying, why does it appear in every article? The writing is really good, and there is a touch of emotion in it. Meeting, getting acquainted, knowing each other, from hating it to giving birth to a vague like. Hood, rather than saying that you hate Bismarck, it is better to say that you like Bismarck. If you don't read as for notebook, you usually disguise yourself really well, and I was almost deceived by you. Hood was not dignified at all, and his expression was aggrieved. Why should I like her? I hate her so much. Sugu laughed loudly. Although they had only gotten along for a short time, it was impossible for the admiral and the ship girl to be strangers, especially because of the matter of stuffing the cat in the morning. They were much closer and could joke casually, but judging from the notebook, you don't seem to hate Bismarck at all. If you say you hate it, at most you hate Prince Eugen. The little nanny Prince Eugen is always around Bismarck. Hood shouted, stop talking, Admiral, you didn't see anything. Sugu said, but it really can't be done. This is a shameful betrayal. Bismarck is my wedding ship, and so are you. You actually went behind my back, which makes me feel so embarrassed, but I can only forgive you. Thinking about it, no wonder everyone in the garrison said that there was no conflict between Bismarck and Hood. When he first met with Hood, he thought everyone was wrong. That turned out to be the case. Snapped. Hood turned off the light at once, then climbed onto the bed and got under the quilt, still holding his notebook on his chest with both hands. I don't listen. I do not know anything. I'm not. Sugu stood beside the bed and finally heard Hood's slightly crying voice, Admiral, I hate you so much. That night, except for being on the same bed, there was no hug, no kiss, nothing. Sugu could only see Hood's back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 587. Of course nothing happened at night. When he woke up the next day, Sugu was in high spirits. It was nice to be able to sleep in a solid bed compared to the rickety cruise ship. Of course, it is a disadvantage that it is difficult to let go of the hands and feet, and it is also difficult to move all the time. It was rare to see Hood walking around the room in slippers, with his eyes and hair messy, and he looked a little depressed. I really don't know what time the girl fell asleep with her notebook in her arms. In addition, Sugu finally understood that the seemingly dignified, elegant, and generous girl was actually just a sullen person. I got up, walked out of the room, and saw Counterattack standing outside, saying that all the toothbrushes and towels were ready. After sorting out the image, I walked downstairs to the lobby and saw the busy restaurant. She woke up even after the counterattack. Of course she woke up early. As the head maid and as a sister, her reputation is even higher than the counterattack. She can be said to be an Iron Man. Sheng Sheng has changed into a regular outfit, not the maid outfit from yesterday. The main reason is that she has to go to the company. Everyone discussed some things last night. After all, the original plan was that they would start preparing to leave at the end of the month if Su couldn't take care of it. Arranging actions at the end of the month is mainly because the company has many things that must be completed by the end of the month. Even if it doesn't take that long to speed up the progress, it will at least take a lot of time. In fact, Sheng Sheng planned to stay with Sugu at first, but he got the answer that there will be a long time to come, and you can stay close to him. There is no need for it at the moment. Finish everything so that you don't feel guilty and burdened later. Missouri got up quite early and wore a vest with letters all over the chest and a jacket over it. She was sitting on the sofa with her legs curled up and reading a book. It was a childish book, a comic book about a little Lolita. Seeing the appearance of Sugu and Hood at this time, when Sugu walked to the coffee table, picked up a cup and poured water to drink, she smiled happily. Hood is listless, but you are radiant, you are awesome. Don't lie, my relationship with Hood is very pure. You are an admiral and a wedding ship. You are still pure after sleeping together in the same bed all night. I think it's over. Sugu was really speechless. Gililu, drink water, thinking, I have thought about it, but I can't let go. Missouri said again, it's really amazing. We just met and slept together at night. Didn't you tell me that we, the admiral and the ship's wife, will not sleep together? I want to sleep with you, are you willing? Missouri smiled and closed the book in her hand, indifferent to M1 sitting next to her in a beautiful black dress. Among the little Lolita, she just likes Xiaozai, after all, a powerful battleship, and after all, the cutest in the world. She clenched her hands into fists, leaned back on the chair, stretched out, and showed off her figure. Why don't I want to? I swear, as long as you dare to enter my room and touch my bed at night, I'll chop your claws off. Look, it was the first time I saw the ship girl threatening the admiral. I've had enough. One day I'll ask Bismarck and the Prince of Wales to hold you down so that you can't resist. Okay, let's see if you are better or I am better. Missouri lifted the brown hair from her ear with one hand and tucked it behind her ear, then winked at Sugu charmingly, with a seductive look that made Hood curl his lips next to her. Okay, I'm afraid of you. To be honest, Sugu was just a talker and would never dare to do anything. Ziwihi is usually his opponent, but when it comes to this aspect, he shrinks down immediately in most situations. But Missouri is definitely not afraid of taking charge of the matter. It turned out that she was restrained, but the longer she stayed in the garrison, the more unscrupulous she became, and she was already on Saratoga's blacklist. After making several gestures, without using Sugu at all, Missouri finally said seriously, Su, have you decided to go find your companions today? We discussed last night that not only would Sheng Sheng go to the company to handle the remaining matters, but Sugu also wanted to visit girls living in other cities. After all, everyone is looking forward to you, so you can't just wait or have the time to travel around, otherwise it will be bad. Sugu smiled and said, yes, but she is also your sister. Missouri didn't mind and nodded, that's true, after all, I have also joined the garrison. After living together for such a long time, Sugu was not jealous. Although Missouri is not officially called Admiral, there are many things that do not need to be stated clearly. She has, just like Zeppelin, from the perspective of looking at problems, he always looked at problems from the perspective of a college teacher. Later, outsiders gradually took the lead. Considering the gains and losses of the garrison, the same is true for Missouri. In short, a little bit of fall does not require any earth-shattering events or touching dialogues. The influence of every little bit is always inadvertent. Sugu said, what did you want to say just now? I thought about it before going to bed. I won't be with you. There's no point in going there. I don't know anyone. That's okay. Sugu could understand that it was the most embarrassing thing to say when he couldn't get in. He hesitated and said, then if you don't come with us, where will you go? The purpose of my coming here in the first place was that I agreed to help you ask anyone in the nearby ship girl headquarters who knows about some stray ship girls. You have your own things to do, and I have to do mine. We can't all. Let's prepare to go back together, and then let's visit each ship's headquarters. Thinking about it, this is indeed the case. Consultant Su asked, how long will you be leaving? I can't tell. Anyway, I hope I can get back before the end of the month at the earliest. Okay, where are you going first? Missouri became proud. I want to find Hindenburg first. Haha, she looks like a powerful, domineering, mature and cold lady, but in fact she has a bit of a funny brain and is easy to deal with. I like to see her fail and then become confused. Looks like. Seriously, let's pick her up in the town hall. If we really get to the town hall, I want to see her challenge Xiaoze. She probably can't beat Xiaoze. She has always been very disdainful of Bismarck and always likes to say whether Bismarck is worthy of it. Go to Germany's technological core. I want to see her being pinned to the ground and rubbed by Bismarck. I love bullying her the most. Sugu said, unscrupulous. Missouri sighed and sneered, are you still unwilling if I help you fish out the boat? Okay, thank you. What's the reward for me picking her up? Sugu thought for a moment. Hindenburg has joined the garrison. I will dismantle all her equipment and give it to you. That's a good idea. Sugu sat next to the sofa. He picked up the little Lolita with long wavy hair and drank water. He suddenly laughed when he thought of something. M1, you are in class at the ship girl headquarters. Let me test you. Do you know the temperature, bar? The little loli nodded. Sugu shook the water cup in his hand. Then let me ask you, how do you turn a glass of 20-degree water into 100-degree water? You can't boil water. M1 thought for a while, I don't know. Get 5 cups and pour a little water into 1 cup to turn it into 5 cups of 20-degree water, right? Sugu's expression was serious. Let's pour all 5 glasses of water into 1 cup. There are 5 20 degrees in the cup. So what is the total of 5 20 degrees? Although British ships are generally poor at mathematics, including the Firefly and Amethyst in the Guards, the M1 cannot solve minor problems. The little loli stretched out her finger. 120, 220, wow, 100. As a little girl, M1 didn't react, and M1 showed a shocked expression. Sugu was laughing next to him. He was so happy teasing the little loli every day. At this time, Missouri suddenly said from the side, I remembered that Hindenburg was also quite stupid and stupid. As long as he gave a little blow and provocation, he could do anything. So, hey, Sue, you are the best at this. Wait for me during the Hindenburg exercise. You tell me how I should pretend to be in front of her, the most powerful one. Sugu hugged M1 tightly and rubbed the still confused little loli's face. Sugu paused and said, let me think about it. Recalling the pretentious words he had heard in the past, Sugu said, idiot. I, Missouri, am the strongest. Missouri shook her head, I feel almost. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not targeting you, I'm saying that everyone should do their own thing, it's all rubbish. How do you feel about this sentence? Missouri said, no, this sentence is very sarcastic and the occasion is wrong. I have written it down for future use. Then this should be a good sentence. Hindenburg, come up and die. Missouri nodded, very good, but continue. Sugu was also very excited, and he remembered a lot at once, and then he adapted it again, and his thoughts came to him like a fountain. Life itself is meaningless. Only failure can teach you the true meaning of human nature. You are asking for death. Die, bug. My name is Missouri, unstoppable and irresistible. I am the lucid dream, the monster in your nightmares, tremble under my true power. I am the beginning of the end, the shadow that blocks the sun, the death knell of destruction. The meaning of my existence is for this moment, to witness your disappointment and despair, mortal. Hindenburg. Sign this resignation letter and you can leave. Sugu paused. In the end, if you win, you will say this to Hindenburg, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. When Missouri saw this, his expression became excited and he thought about it. Just to be on the safe side, let me ask, if I accidentally lose, what would be the most irritating thing to say? In a drill between battleships, if you're not lucky, you might lose or win. Sugu laughed loudly and clasped his hands in his fists. You must laugh, it's best to laugh loudly, and then do what I did. Then I said, I lost. Missouri was stunned. If you are my opponent and dare to say such things in front of me, I will beat you to death. Sugu said, I thought of something else. I, Missouri, will do what I say. If I say I will kill you, I will kill you. Missouri took a deep breath. Why didn't you let me meet you earlier? You are so funny, I like it. There was a smile behind him. Before I could say a few words, a prestigious voice came from the restaurant, indicating that breakfast was all ready. Breakfast seemed very normal that day. Little Loli had milk, fried eggs, vegetable salad and sandwiches, and then, in fact, everyone's food was about the same. After breakfast, not long after, it was time to go to work, and the little Loli also had to go to the shipgirl headquarters. There are still so many days left, and they still have to go to class. Think about it, my dad, who has been away from home for a long time, comes home. He can relax a little on the first day, but he still can't wait until later. Besides, Sugu was really busy and it was not convenient to take them with him. Missouri is about to begin her operation, visiting the nearby garrison alone. Then Sugu, Huda, and Chi-Chi will go to other cities to find the girl from their own garrison. You don't need to take a boat, just take a train. It's not far, it's not close, but there's probably no way to come back on the same day. I bought my train ticket at the train station, but the time has not come yet and I still have to wait. Then several people sat on the stone bench outside the train, Huda holding the fish cake, and Sugu holding Ginger. Even though he had to go out, Huda also took his 2 cats with him, saying that his cats would never leave him. Rubbing the cute cat's head, petting the cat is indeed the best thing in the world. Sugu looked at Huda, the cat on his wedding ship, and suddenly thought that he was touching the cat, whether it counted as touching Huda's chest. He said, Huda, do you know how to lock everyone in the refrigerator? Huda shook his head, I don't know. Huda, let me tell you. Putting the elephant in the refrigerator requires 3 steps. Open the refrigerator door, put the elephant in, and close the door. Admiral, this is strange. After a long time, Huda came to her senses, and she suddenly remembered that she stuffed the cat. So this is a metaphor. To stuff a cat into your chest, you need 3 steps, pull open the collar, put the cat in, and close the collar. The dignity disappeared again, and she showed an aggrieved face to Sugu, Admiral, you bully me all day long. No. It's just that you bully people and don't admit it. Sugu thought about his wedding ship. Bizai seemed easy to bully, but she just didn't show off her power. Once she showed off her power, old Sig was super powerful. Hell and heaven are just a thought apart, as are the lonely homegirl in the north and the lonely queen in the north. Lexington, Prince of Wales, Helena, among the 10 wedding ships, it seems that Huda is really easy to bully, and it is particularly interesting to bully. Speaking of which, Bismarck is a soft cat between the sheets, and Huda is easy to bully. If the sisters are not good enough, there should still be some hope for them to sleep together. Well, it's not working anymore, they have become evil. Think about it, you can't bully Huda anymore, but you can't bully the delicious little maid to fight back either. As expected, you can still bully Hood. Hood, why are you always at odds with Bismarck? Thinking of what happened these days, Huda said, I didn't fight her, but I don't like her either. That's it, there is no need to argue with Bismarck. Think about it, historically the Hood was considered a First World War ship, and Bismarck can be said to be a First War ship or a World War II ship. In comparison, you are older. Bismarck's generation, you must be Bismarck's elder, and you should usually ignore the faults of villains. The Admiral finally did not bully him, and Hood looked excited. Yes, I am Bismarck's elder, haha. She had been listening to the counterattack, and she said, history is history, and now I am younger than Bismarck. Huda realized that the elders meant that she had become Obazan and an old aunt as she got older. Her excitement was still fixed on her face and disappeared in an instant. Admiral, you bullied me again. I am not Aunt Hood. Today is different from the past, Sugu said, you are aunt and I am uncle. Huda burst into laughter and could only fight back and looked at Sugu. The little maid couldn't help but complain, thinking, you are a ghost. I waited at the station for a while, talking slowly, until I counterattacked and turned on my pocket watch to remind everyone to get on the train. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 588. Missouri got off the boat at the pier with her bag in hand. Looking around, she found that she hadn't been here for a long time. However, many memories surfaced the moment they stepped onto the ground. The place still looked the same as in the memory, as if it had not changed at all. Wanting to recall the past, she suddenly felt malicious and her thoughts were interrupted. She turned around, picked up the bag placed at her feet, and kicked away the middle-aged man who had already extended his hand. I just put the bag next to you so you can all dare to reach out. There are trophies inside. If they are taken away, I will have to sell myself to others for the rest of my life. Dare to face my opponent without eyesight, she thought to herself. The middle-aged man took a powerful whip and his leg hit the wall. Of course he wouldn't die, but he would definitely not feel comfortable. 2 of his ribs might have been broken. There is no weak side to Missouri's character, and there is no reason to ignore anyone who wants to molest or steal, even if the attempt fails. But it wasn't enough for a last-ditch attack. She snorted and wanted to walk away, when a few more men approached. Missouri knew at a glance that these were companions of the middle-aged man and belonged to the same theft gang. She sighed and flexed her knuckles. Within a few minutes, people around her collapsed. Normally, the police always arrived late, and it was the same this time. She didn't bother to vomit. In addition, she also knew that the police were passive and it was natural that they would be late. In fact, everything can be easily solved by unfolding the ship suit. The police will never dare to ask more questions. After all, it can be said that it is a diplomatic dispute when it comes to the ship girl. It is better to have less to worry about than to have more to worry about. It's hard to tell whether he wanted to cause trouble for his admiral or to show off that he also had an admiral. Missouri took out his ID and said, "Comrade police, I beat these people, and my admiral is called Sugu. You can ask the gendarmerie to summon him." After all, he did not stay at the scene any longer. Regardless of whether the police were impartial or selfless, or because they accepted their filial piety and let these people go, they were too lazy to cooperate with the investigation, so Missouri walked away. There are regulations that ship girls cannot interfere in government affairs. Although some ship girls are unable to do this due to their personalities, Missouri still has no problem at all. Anyway, not long after, she came to the Kanyang branch under the Kanyang headquarters located in the suburbs of the city. This is the largest branch among many nearby cities and exceeds the standards of an enterprise. Walking into the yard, I saw many oak and coconut trees, greeted people along the way, walked straight to the office building, and finally sat down in an office. At the same time, The blonde woman who was working at work heard footsteps. She looked up and immediately saw Missouri leaning closer to look at the documents under her hand. She hesitated for a moment before exclaiming, "Missouri, why are you here?" Sitting down casually on a chair next to him, Missouri leaned on the back of the chair and crossed his legs. "Why can't I come?" The blonde woman put down her pen. She was really not in a hurry. The non-urgent documents could be completed at any time. When a good friend came, she had to treat her. It must have been at least a year ago since you last came here. The bag was put down next to him, and the trophy sickle on his back was also put down. Missouri said, "Thank you for remembering it. I don't even remember it. I've traveled all over the world. You know how much it costs to travel east and west time. There is no other way. Speaking of which, it's better for you. I ran over to see the Enterprise specially, but she had a job and left me alone." The blonde woman held her cheek with one hand and said, "Yeah, of course I'm fine. You haven't told me why you're here. Can't you come and see if you can't? I don't believe you came here specifically to see me." "To be honest with you," Missouri smiled and said, "congratulate me." "Congratulations. I joined the garrison, and this time I came with my admiral. Ha, from now on I am a complete ship girl. Joining the tutelage is just a way of life for a ship girl. Of course, it does not mean that only a ship girl who joins the tutelary house is a complete ship girl. This is mainly a propaganda from the admiral and the human government to get wandering ship girls to join the garrison. Most ship girls have their own opinions, but as long as one ship girl believes this, it can be considered a little benefit. No matter what, the current public opinion is that the ship girl needs an admiral." The blonde woman raised her beautiful eyebrows, really surprised. She does know that Missouri has no prejudice against joining the garrison, but as a powerful ship girl, it is often difficult to find a garrison that matches her status. After all, she has a high vision. This is not to say that as a powerful ship girl, you must have a strong garrison. If you get along well with the admiral, it doesn't matter even an ordinary or even weak garrison, but that often requires an opportunity. Under normal circumstances, how should I put it, just like the beauty of a girl's soul is more important than her appearance, but appearance often determines whether a man is interested in knowing whether a girl's soul is beautiful or not. Missouri noticed the surprised expression on the blonde woman's face. She smiled and recalled what happened. "The main reason is that I was sold by the Enterprise, and she couldn't pay back the money she owed, so she wanted to use me to pay off the debt. I had no choice but to, was sold to her, and she had no choice but to join the tutelage. But no, she owes us nothing less than the tutelage." The blonde woman was still a little skeptical. "I don't believe it, the company has sold you." "Believe it or not, it's true. And maybe next time you meet me, I will become a wedding ship." Of course, the words behind the sentence were just casual remarks from Missouri. The blonde woman was curious. Why is the admiral so good in the garrison? The admiral is not very good, but he is above the standard. The main thing is that he is interesting and compatible. And his garrison, I don't know how to put it better. Missouri said with a smile on her lips. "It's okay, Admiral, the garrison is really great. There are so many powerful people, and if you change one person every day for a week without repeating it, your stagnant practice finally has a chance to improve. In particular, the tutelary residence has the cutest little house in the world. Just one look at it will make people unable to forget it. And the angelic Lexington is so gentle that he wants to sink." Slowly becoming suspicious, Longju Missouri said, "Have you heard that there is a garrison in the east that suppressed 3 deep-sea flagships? The company and Chuangzhou College should have given a lot of support, otherwise it would be a garrison, haha. Otherwise, it would be a role model, a hero, and inspire confidence in mankind's deep-sea flagship." Missouri smiled and didn't answer, but asked, "What do you think?" "Okay. Let's not talk about that one first, and then you joined which garrison?" Well, it's been almost half a year since I joined that garrison. So where is your admiral? He is away for something and is looking for a wife. I came here to help him find a wife. The blonde woman had a strange expression, and Missouri slandered Sugu. She looked at the window. I walked around here and didn't see Hindenburg. The blonde woman said amusedly, she attacked. Are you plotting against Hindenburg again? I have no enmity with her, why are you trying to get her idea? As he said this, Missouri thought to herself, I'm trying to get your idea, and I came here specifically to poach her. At least don't embarrass her too much in front of her juniors. I'll pay attention. After all, Missouri thought to herself, if he didn't humiliate him severely, how could he do the follow-up things easily? After spending a lot of time in the office, Missouri left. Hindenburg hadn't returned yet, so she stood by the dock watching the drills as nothing happened. Then the people in the exercise recognized her and came to ask for advice after the exercise. Missouri said to a girl, your action is wrong. The angle of the turret needs to be adjusted to slightly improve the hit. Controlling the ship is not that simple. Measuring the range, calculating the speed, calculating the parabola, these are essential. She looked at a little destroyer lowly again, your dodge action is wrong, it's too simple. Too simple, the questioner, little lowly, expressed doubts. Well. Missouri tapped her head with her fingers. Of course, dodging was not simple. After all, being able to dodge attacks was the most important thing. She felt that she was influenced, so she spoke like this. During the fantasy drill, the girl's dodge movements were so proficient, and her dodge movements were as gorgeous as water ballet. Explaining the key points of the battle, Missouri sat in the restaurant in the evening eating black pepper steak with a knife and fork, and she finally saw Hindenburg. Still looking the same, with gray shoulder-length hair and an evil smile. The tall, handsome UG speaks like a mad villain, giving people the impression of a deep-sea flagship. But for familiar people like Missouri, underneath Hindenburg's cold and handsome appearance, this girl is actually just the middle school girl. Without rushing to say hello, Missouri Silk slowly chewed the steak. When Hindenburg walked past her again with a large glass of beer, she stretched out her hand and waved, "Hi, Hindenburg. I've been feeling uncomfortable since morning, and I feel like I'm being watched." Only then did Hindenburg understand the cause of his uneasiness when he saw Missouri. Her eyes widened for a moment, then narrowed, and her expression became cold and ferocious, like a female leopard preparing to hunt. "What are you doing here? Come here and see you, and then I'll torture you." Hindenburg sat down opposite Missouri and sneered, "If you don't overestimate your capabilities, you should kneel in front of me obediently. I only know people who run away. I just recently got a new piece of equipment and I have always wanted to find someone to try it, and compared to you leaving the combat team and traveling around, I have been looking for people to practice and attack." She thought to herself that the attacks were all against weak enemies, and the subjects of the exercises were all defeated generals. The effect was not very good, but it could still be improved a bit. Missouri wanted to pretend to be scared, but then felt that the performance was too deliberate. She still followed the same old pattern and said, "You got the equipment, and you have been practicing with others. Since this is the case, no competition, no competition. I am just here to play, I didn't come here to fight with anyone." Hindenburg's expression was twisted. He took a sip of beer, and the thick bottom of the glass hit the table hard. "You." "No, I said I won't compete, otherwise you can beat me to death." Missouri finished the steak and lay on the table indifferently. Hindenburg hated Missouri, mostly because of its laziness. He usually likes to play rogue, and he seems to be biased against himself. He always pushes back and blocks when he is invited to practice. Of course, she didn't notice her stubborn side. When she lost, she kept wanting to challenge and win, but she couldn't afford to lose. It's just that Missouri is unwilling to conduct exercises. After all, Hindenburg has no way to take the people. He can't tie them up and push them onto the battlefield. That would be pointless. What do you need to do before you're willing to practice? Missouri said, your equipment is so powerful, let's forget it, or you can take it off. Hindenburg rarely patiently explained, equipment is also part of a ship girl's strength. Equipment does not fall from the sky or be blown down by strong winds. It is all obtained through my hard work. And you are not weak, think about it, your ship's equipment parameters are naturally stronger than mine, your air defense is stronger than mine, your firepower is stronger than mine, your dodge is stronger than mine, your armor is stronger than mine, your speed is stronger than mine. Hindenburg himself became silent until the end of the conversation. Fortunately, he finally had some advantages and was more durable. Missouri looked like he was in need of a beating. You have admitted that I am strong, so I might as well not hit you, to give you some face. You. Seeing that Hindenburg had already taken action, Missouri said, okay, since you have said so much, let's fight. After dinner, it was not dark yet, so Hindenburg could not wait to drag Missouri, who had not yet finished eating, to the beach. Hindenburg proudly unfolded her ship's uniform, wanting to show off, and then she saw Missouri also unfolding its ship's uniform. She knew the equipment, or rather it was very familiar. The triple 16-inch gun, also known as the Mk7, is exclusive to Missouri, and what about the twin 406mm guns? Hindenburg only knew he had this piece of equipment. And among the German ship girls, she also knew many people. Even the Bismarck with short brown hair doesn't have it, it's just a twin 380mm cannon. So forget it if there is Missouri in front of you, why are there so many, even more than yourself? The Mk6 is actually not bad, but in order to install it in front of Hindenburg, Missouri specially ordered the cat cannon for the effect. Your equipment. Missouri looked at her ship's equipment, deliberately showing a puzzled expression on her face, and blinked. You just said it. Equipment is also part of a ship girl's strength. Equipment does not fall from the sky or be blown down by strong winds. Yes, it's all due to my hard work. I asked where it came from. You can wait until I win. Saying this, Missouri said, I'm starting. Feel sorry. Hindenburg raised his head and snorted coldly, if you have the guts, you can tell me more. Feel sorry. Feel sorry. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I am going to kill you. You lost again, Hindenburg. You. If you want to continue, just continue, I don't care. Why? Do you know Amway? Offer what? Do you know Infinitus? What? What about the Bibu Gulf development? What exactly do you want to say? Missouri said seriously, I joined the garrison. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 589. This is actually Hindenburg's room, which is not very big. Unlike her arrogance, this place actually seemed a bit ordinary. There are no various weapons hanging on the walls, and there are no various torture instruments hanging around. It doesn't look much different from ordinary people's rooms. If you look at the details, you can tell. There are no bookcases in the room, which shows that Hindenburg does not like reading. There is a desk, but the top of the desk is covered with dust, and only a few drawers are still in use. The large wardrobe painted in walnut color contained many clothes, but not a single long skirt. There is a dressing table. Although the cosmetics on the dressing table have been opened, they still look brand new, whether it is expensive hand cream, face cream, lipstick, or perfume. Missouri stood next to the dressing table. The lipstick is fine, but why are you bringing hand cream and face cream? As ship girls, we can't get chilblains. As for perfume, you can really use it if you have body odor. A cold voice came out of Hindenburg's mouth, idiot, you are the only one with body odor. Missouri is of course aware that ship girls may have tear marks, cute little freckles, etc. After all, depending on the aesthetics, some people like it and some don't. But body odor, a thing that everyone hates, cannot be found in ship girls. She picked up the glass perfume bottle again and said, "Hindenburg, you really don't understand. Perfume smells good, but some people also hate it. If possible, it's best not to spray anything at all. There may not be any bonus points, but at least there will definitely be no deductions point." Hindenburg said, "I didn't buy it, it was just given to me by someone else." Admiral. Male or female? Male. Do you like this person? I don't like it, I have no interest at all, I'm just a weakling. Missouri put down the perfume bottle and clapped her hands. You don't like to accept other people's things, you green tea bitch. I helped his garrison suppress the deep-sea battleship, but I only accepted a set of cosmetics from him. He should kneel down and thank me. Hindenburg paused, forcibly gave it to me. Missouri smiled and said, "Instead of giving expensive cosmetics, it would be better to give jewelry." The warm yellow light from the chandelier on the ceiling of the room shone down, and Hindenburg was sitting beside the bed, holding a broken horn with a faint purple light in her hand. I have to say that this thing has an indescribable attraction for the ship girl. She kept stroking it with a little affection in her expression. After a long while, he said, "I don't use makeup, and I don't wear jewelry." It's a lie, the cosmetics have obviously been sold. Just giving it a try. Missouri touched her earlobe and then the star-shaped pendant. She actually had many pendants, such as willow leaves, tassels, and crystals, but her favorite was the star-shaped pendant. As a girl, you don't like jewelry. You lose a lot to be a ship girl. You don't have to like earrings, necklaces, and bracelets. At least you have to like rings. Do you know why? Hindenburg pouted, non-committal. Seeing this scene, Missouri sighed, "Woman, no one will like you in the future. I don't need anyone to like me, I like to conquer. I brought the loot here at night just for the sake of the garrison's plan." At first I was not ready to speak, and after a lot of nonsense, I finally came to my conclusion. Missouri sat on the chair beside the bed and saw Hindenburg caressing the broken corner fondly. "You recognize this thing, don't you like it?" Hindenburg stretched out her fingers and tapped the metallic broken corner. Of course she recognized such a thing. Deep-sea Yamato has appeared more than once. Just as he and Missouri knew each other at the beginning, they were also partners in the same battle group and participated in the battle to suppress Deep-sea Yamato. It was a fluke that I defeated Fukumae Yamato. Wanting to break off Fukumae Yamato's horns was probably only a dream. The broken corner of Yamato in the deep sea. Haha, eating, sleeping, and working as a model worker, nothing is more important than these. Hindenburg said nothing, she was thinking about the battle. At this time, Missouri picked up the scythe again. "You probably haven't seen Ziwikaku Deep Sea. But with your air defense, without air suppression, you can probably survive the opening round under Ziwikaku Deep Sea. It's difficult. If you haven't seen Deep Sea Ziwihi, you should at least have heard of it, the powerful deep sea flagship." Hindenburg's eyes flickered. She preferred the broken horn to the sickle. She said, "Where did you get these things?" Missouri tried to make his expression casual. "You should have read that report. There was a garrison in the east that suppressed 3 deep-sea flagships. I told you, I joined the garrison. That garrison, the report says that our town government won the victory through the help of enterprises and colleges. But think about it for yourself, there are photos, but why are these 2 things not written in the report?" When encountering the enemy on the battlefield, Hindenburg preferred simplicity and roughness to detours, involvement, and luring the enemy deeper. But when it comes to being stupid, she is definitely not stupid, but like most ship girls, she has no ideas and is too lazy to think unless necessary. "What do you mean?" Missouri said in a gloomy tone. There is no report. The main reason is that no one in the college or the company knows about this matter. Why not? Because no one from both sides was sent to the battlefield, and this suppression was completed by the garrison alone. The report appeared on colleges and enterprises are just routine to thank the leaders and the country. In short, we have hidden these things, it cannot be said to be hiding or concealing. After all, we have unlimited ownership of the enemies defeated by our garrison alone. If we do not take them out, we will only just to avoid trouble. Hindenburg hummed. She had worked at the ship girl headquarters for so long and knew that many admirals had many little secrets. These were nothing. However, she had a keen sense that something was wrong, and she said, "Your garrison is powerful, what does it have to do with me?" Missouri pretended to be surprised, thinking that Hindenburg might have discovered her intentions. She said, "Of course my garrison has nothing to do with you. I don't owe you money or rice." After a pause, Missouri laughed, "I just want to tell you that our garrison is super strong, but you have nothing." Hindenburg felt relieved now, this was Missouri. She had read the report and already had an idea of how powerful the garrison was, but that didn't stop her from mocking, "So many people are bullying 3 deep-sea flagships, what's there to show off? Are you stupid? You just want to fight more and less, but you do something that's a one-on-one thing." Missouri organized the words in her mind, thinking about how to introduce the power of the garrison without arousing suspicion. "Oh, it's just a one-on-one fight. It's not your turn to be chirping. Hindenburg. Have you seen the silver-gray short-haired Bismarck? The parameters of the ship's equipment are no worse than yours, and he saves more food than you. The Prince of Wales likes to wear an eye patch. His parameters are probably a little worse than yours, but he is highly trained and is simply ruthless. Counterattack, it's just a battle cruiser. To be honest, I can't beat her. And Washington, South Dakota, North Carolina, Tirpitz, each of them is better than you. A poor frog in a well who has never seen the world, but at least he can rule the roost at the bottom of the well." These words were spoken from the bottom of Missouri's heart, and were unimaginable to those he had never seen before. "Especially by fighting against an individual in the garrison, I could feel my own improvement. At the time, I didn't feel anything. Now, practicing with my former companions, I almost won with a crushing attitude. Although the equipment has advantages, it is undeniable that the combat level has improved a lot, all thanks to everyone's help." Missouri continued, "Compared to you begging your grandpa and grandma every day, no one wants to practice with you. Compared to you, you don't even have a comparable opponent, you only bully the little guys every day. The garrison is my sister and sister, I can practice with them every day. One a day, my strength improves so fast. Occasionally, I can practice with destroyers. It's just a fantasy, la fight. Anyway, I only need to pay a piece of chocolate. If I can't afford it, I can buy them a doll. I've never seen it, and I think it's ridiculous. Just any person, like Bismarck and Tirpitz, both of them are wearing Mk6 and equipped with Type 91 armor-piercing bullets. What Mk6, there are too many in the garrison. What about twin 406mm cannons, we the garrison is called the cat cannon. Not many people like it because the firepower is too low. Everyone likes the triple 16-inch cannon. It is not an ordinary model, but a modified version with 26 points of firepower. You are right, bigger is better. More is beauty, long live the cult of firepower." Finally, seeing Hindenburg lowering his head, Missouri said, "Are you envious?" "There's nothing to envy. I don't want someone to take care of it. It sounds like you have no one to care about you now, and you are disdainful. Besides, there are so many ship girls in the world, and most of them join the garrison. Everyone is stupid, but you are the smartest." Missouri said to herself, "I am the shield of Argus. Have you ever enjoyed the personal service of Prince Eugen? Having a shield guard by your side makes people feel at ease. The cafeteria is run by Chef Yuxian. I can't say enough about the taste of the food. It's so good. I didn't know it before, but I didn't know until I joined the garrison to experience it. From top to bottom, food, clothing, housing, and transportation were all covered by the garrison. It felt so good. Apart from fighting, I didn't have to worry about the malice from human beings. When I encountered it's over, just throw out the admiral's name. Joining the town guard is the best decision I've ever made in my life. Hindenburg said, a garrison has no shortcomings anymore, who are you lying to? Missouri said seriously, of course there are shortcomings, mainly the admiral. He can be a hero who saves the world, but he still likes to stay in the garrison. He keeps accompanying everyone, making everyone feel happy, and making everyone feel at ease. In fact, he is just lazy, no be ambitious. And he is just a pervert. He has already been married 10 times, and if he doesn't stop, I doubt he will give out rings to everyone in the future. What follows is, of course, malicious slander from Missouri. We still have to play hard to get. To be honest, this silly elder sister is quite difficult to deal with. Missouri got up from the chair and shrugged, it's getting late. I won't talk to you anymore. It's useless to talk to you. I'm going back to sleep. Missouri wanted to go out, and she stretched out her hand towards Hindenburg. Here, give me the loot. Hindenburg's expression changed. You're not leaving today, I'll give it to you tomorrow morning. Shameless. Missouri snapped his fingers, unfolded the ship's uniform, and a gorgeous piece of equipment dazzled Hindenburg's eyes. How about this? Just call me sister, and I'll lend it to you to try, so you can experience the full-body cat cannon paired with Type 91. What does armor-piercing bullet feel like? The arrogant appearance was just the appearance. Hindenburg hesitated for a moment. Sister, Miss Missouri. Shameless. Hindenburg smiled proudly and thought, you think I don't dare? Missouri snickered and thought, as long as you touch and experience these things, you will never be able to turn back. You will become a pig that is slaughtered by others, and you will be taken away by others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 590. Everyone has his own ideas, everyone has his own way of life. Even if they are both British ships, not everyone needs to follow Hood and have reputation. After all, they were not admirals and had no way of leaving. Of course, even though we are not together, we still keep in touch and occasionally have dinner together. You come to my city and I go to yours. On this issue, let alone the British ships, as long as we are all sisters in the garrison, everything is as it should be. The exchanges were so deep and there were so many contacts. When Hood and Reputation learned about the admiral, of course they notified the people living nearby. In fact, apart from their reputation, many people have nothing to do and can leave first and return to the garrison. It's just that no one would feel uneasy about leaving behind the reputation of taking care of everyone after hard work. Anyway, as a ship girl, she can't do such an unscrupulous thing. Let's finally see if we can wait until the admiral, but if that doesn't work, wait until everything is sorted out before leaving together. It was then decided in advance that it would be at the end of the month, which had not yet arrived, and the rest of the people living in nearby cities had not yet gathered. However, Sugu came here and decided to take the initiative to look for it. The black train clanked loudly, passing through the city and fields. Sugu, who was sitting in the carriage, looked at the scenery on the side of the railway. He couldn't see much of it. Mainly, the scenery along the road was not very beautiful. He also couldn't see many exotic customs, such as distinctive farms and white houses. With its red-tiled huts, tall windmills, etc., it looks a bit ordinary from the outside. Finally he looked back and decided to just play with the cat. He rubbed Ginger's head and suddenly thought, cat, 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 should this be said to be playing with Bismarck, or playing with Hood's breasts, or simply playing with Ginger? It felt quite evil when he thought about it, and he laughed. Sitting opposite him, a super low-profile version of the variety which to a certain extent, Hood regained his dignified posture. She saw the smile on Sugu's face. Out of the ship girl's keen sixth sense, her admiral's smile was so malicious that he must be thinking of something bad, especially after taking a look at herself. She held the fish cake and asked, "What is the admiral thinking about?" Naturally, I couldn't say what I was thinking. Sugu said, "I didn't think about anything." Noticing that Hood's suspicious eyes didn't stop, he thought that he couldn't go on like this. He wanted to find a reason to cover up his evil intentions. Then he suddenly thought that any equipment can be removed in the game, so he said, "I was just thinking that Ginger and fish cake are essentially ship equipment." Hood nodded. "It's essentially a ship outfit. You can carry Ginger and fish cakes with you. If you don't have resources, you can eat them and then replenish the resources. It can be used as a pet or as food, which is really good." As soon as this question came up, remembering the bad behavior of his admiral, Hood immediately hugged the fish cake in his arms tightly. At the same time, he also stared at the ginger in Sugu's hand, trying to wait for an opportunity to snatch it back. She pursed her lips, and her dignity disappeared a lot. "Those were her breasts. No, cats, there is no reason not to be anxious," she said. "No matter how short of resources the town government has, we can't eat them. They are not gold nugget boxes, not worth much resources." Sugu explained, "Am I like that kind of person? I won't tear them down. After all, they are still life. We are just discussing this issue. Don't discuss the issue. If it doesn't work, let's talk about Oscar." Sugu didn't mind at all. "That's Oscar. What do you think will happen if you eat Oscar?" Hood smiled. "If you eat Oscar, you will be beaten by Bismarck. I secretly told Bismarck, 'Admiral, you want to eat her Oscar.'" Sugu scratched Zhang Jiang's chin. "Just tell me, do you think Bismarck believes in me or you?" Hood's expression was confused. The two of them were enemies. How could they believe what the enemy said? Sugu said, "I will tell Bismarck about this when I get back and see how she reacts." Hood also knew Bismarck, whether because of love or because of the saying "the person who knows you best must be your enemy," she said, Bismarck's character, even if she knew it, she wouldn't do anything. As Bismarck's pillow, Sugu also understood. He said, "Bismarck doesn't know what to do, but I don't know about Prince Eugen." Hood's expression turned dull for a moment. Sugu raised Ginger on his lap and looked at Ginger's abdomen evilly. "I suddenly thought that cats usually go into estrus, and then the male cats need to be castrated and the female cats need to be neutered, otherwise the estrus will be very annoying. So will ginger fish cakes go into heat? Speaking of which, there are generally two mechanisms to drive organisms to reproduce. In fact, according to Darwin's theory of evolution, organisms without such mechanisms have become extinct, so giving us this impression is also survivor bias. A kind of punishment mechanism. If you are in estrus and do not mate, you will be very uncomfortable. For example, cats, especially African bull elephants, have violent tempers during estrus and are invincible in the entire African continent. There are also rhinos that have been brutally attacked by male rhinos. In addition to punishment, there is another kind of punishment. The most typical reward mechanism is people, like dolphins, and then Sugu came to his senses mid-sentence and stopped. In any case, the two people in front of me are girls, so it would be too strange to discuss this issue. He looked at the two people carefully, and there was nothing wrong with their faces. The eldest lady was the good girl, and the counter-attack was the cute little maid. Even so, he would definitely react if he continued talking. After thinking about it, Sugu casually changed the topic. I went to Lianghe County before. Xianghe Ziwihe, Tianlong Ryaoshan, and Xiaoxiang Leiden had a Shiba Inu, but unfortunately they didn't take it back to the governor's mansion. Now that Yuxian is back, I'm thinking how nice it was to bring it back. We can eat fried dog meat. The smell of dog meat makes Buddha jump over the wall. Huda asked, can we also eat dog meat? Not only can you eat dog meat, stir-fried dog meat is super delicious, but you can also eat cat meat. But I never eat cat because my family always says that after eating cat meat, you will feel cold after eating it, and it is said that cat meat is very sour. But some places eat cats, cook them with snakes, and then turn them into a famous dish called dragon tiger fight. Hood hugged his pet tightly again. I feel weird eating cats. Eating cats doesn't matter, there are still people eating people. Ah, Hood was confused. There was nothing to do in the train, so Fei Qi sat beside him and listened quietly. It was with great difficulty that he finally spoke. He eats cats and eats people. The admiral is very evil, so stop talking. Sugu originally just wanted to say that Cantonese people eat Fujianese people, but to counter the saying is evil, he instead thought of Bismarck, eating cats, eating people, eating Bismarck. After all, the influence in public places is not good, and besides, it is really impossible to abuse two pure girls. Sugu asked casually, has Huda seen Huda here? There is more than one Hood in the world. I met you once. Will it feel like looking in the mirror? Hood recalled that they met by chance outside. The other person was wearing a white skirt and a wide-brimmed hat. He still called her first. She said, no, we are just like sisters. We still have many differences. And I have also grown up. She hasn't grown up, and there's a huge difference in our looks. Sugu asked curiously, do you like it or hate it? Everyone is a Hood, they look alike, and they have a very magical feeling, so they like it. If they hate it, they think the other person is a fake of themselves. I have been awake for many years. If you really want to say it, I am the fake. Sugu remembered the sentence on the internet about plagiarism that transcends time and space. He smiled and said again, regardless of right or wrong, generally, the best ones are the genuine ones. There are no genuine copies, there are no pirated copies. We are all just ship girls who have inherited the soul of the battle cruiser Hood. Everyone is unique. She is the Hood, and her name seems to be Sophie. I am the Hood, and I am here. The name here is always Matilda. As an admiral, Sugu certainly understood this and was just talking out of boredom. Sugu asked again, speaking of Hood, who is the boss among you, the Prince of Wales, and the Lion? The counterattack finally couldn't help but complain, Admiral, you are asking this boring question again. No one has to be the boss. Also, this question is asked too much. Sighing, Sugu said, it's a bit boring. Well, Hood, give me your fish cakes. What are you going to do? Hood didn't give it generously. It wasn't because he was stingy or didn't pay enough attention to Sugu. It was mainly because he knew his admiral too well and had an extravagant personality. He was afraid that he would be thinking about bullying. Sugu suddenly laughed, I want to stuff them into my clothes and try them out. As expected, Huda said sensitively, Admiral, you bullied me again. He countered, Master, don't do such strange things, you are not a cross-dresser. There are many admirals built in women's clothing. You want to do this? No, I will never dress up as a woman. I just thought that I haven't built anything for a long time and I want to try it when I get back. Up to you. Sugu asked again, Huda, when you are working outside, have you met many ship girls that are not available in the town hall? Yes, such as the Duke of York, King George V, Ajax, Norfolk, anyway, there are many. Hood's expression became ugly, I've also seen the Des Moines. It's an exaggeration. I don't have much impression of Des Moines. It is said that I have a very explosive figure. Consultant Su, has Hood seen Rodney? Xiao Luo. Admiral, you want to talk about Rodney? Sugu waved his hand. It was already very late to play the game, and it was completely dominated by the 4 ships. He never had much feelings for Rodney, and even Gon Mo didn't understand that Rodney got such a high ranking, but he cared about Rodney. There is nothing better than the baby battleship, but it's a pity that I can't bear to give up so many trophies, although in my personal opinion it is not as good as Kotaku. No, Xiaoluo, Rodney, a baby battleship like a little house. Hood said, I don't know. I haven't heard of Rodney. Besides, there are so many baby girl battleships. Sugu said, I don't dare to say anything else. There must be a little Rodney. I haven't heard of it. Sugu thought to himself, I hope Nelson and Rodney find a little Luo, and then they live together. Nelson is the husband, Rodney is the wife, and then they take their child Luo, a family of 3. Compared with Hood, counterattack is more suitable for Sugu's brain. She said, they are a family of 3, what about you? I am the big devil who destroys everyone's harmony. Haha, maybe there will be more baby battleships, such as Little Washington, and maybe Little Mutsu, and then a lot of baby battleships will come to attack me. Rodney uses Mayrazama dealt 350 points of damage to the Great Demon King Sugu. Little Washington used Iona Jane, and then Xiao Zai used Falcon Slash. No, Xiao Zai is mine. In short, all the heroes in the world are in my hands, and the baby battleship has entered my garrison. Huda is a literary girl after all. She shook her head and said with a smile, the world has been suffering for a long time. Sugu smiled contemptuously. He looked at the counterattack. The little maid would always respond to him, but the counterattack complained, damn Lilikan, the big devil will always be pushed down by the brave. Will I be pushed down by Rodney, Little House, and Little Washington? He countered, you are hopeless, give up hope. Even if I die and am nailed in the coffin, I will still be in the tomb, shouting out little girl battleship with this rotten voice box, it's great. You are really hopeless. You will definitely join the military police. Counterattack burst into laughter, it was me first, whether it is meeting the admiral or falling in love with the admiral. If you fight back, you are hopeless. Hood looked at the 2 people and thought to himself, the admiral and counterattack really have a tacit understanding, but why haven't they been given a counterattack ring? Sugu said, speaking of which, I don't know where the Italian Lolita group is. I miss them. He countered, didn't you always say that they must be working in the underworld somewhere? Italian mafia, for sure. It's all about arranging everyone. El Andrea is a girl, right? So, does a pseudo-loli like Veneto fall under the jurisdiction of the gendarmerie? The counter-attacking black round toe shoes tapped on the ground, Diddy, drug cannon warning. Geez, in fact, compared to Veneto, the admiral should say what to do in North Carolina. She can transform into a young girl, a Lolita, a girl, sister you. Sugu laughed, the problem was too difficult to solve. He turned his face to the window. There was smoke rising in the distance, and it was blown away by the wind. He suddenly asked, I don't know what Missouri is doing, and I don't know if it is doing good things. She came to help me fish out the Hindenburg. Huda said, it's not that easy to fish out a boat. He countered, being greedy makes the snake swallow the elephant. Missouri said Hindenburg is a silly eldest sister who is easy to deal with. And Missouri is still very powerful. We have to give her some confidence. By the way, I don't know if she can get any useful information from her side, but the possibility is probably very low. We left in the morning. There is not that convenient transportation here. I waited for a long time at the train station before getting on the train, and then took the train until noon, which was close to the afternoon. As the train gradually stopped, everyone finally arrived at their destination. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 591. I didn't eat on the train, but I got off the train and walked out of the train station, and ate at a roadside restaurant. The taste of the macaroni wasn't that good, but it wasn't bad either. Sugu still remembers the strong tomato flavor, but he was a spicy person. After eating, everyone walked through the city center instead of taking a taxi. After walking for a short time, when I realized what I was seeing, the rows of high-rise buildings turned into small buildings with white walls and red tiles, and the whole city changed drastically. Walking on the street, Sugu looked at the surrounding buildings. An ordinary residential building has shops below, including a bakery, a watch shop, a clothing store, and a beverage shop. Above is the balcony, with clusters of flowers and plants, roses or roses not clear, covering the entire balcony guardrail. If you are in the mood to look up at the sky here is very blue, it can be said to be as blue as blue. The water in the small river on the side of the road is also very good. It's not that it's very clear or turquoise. The main thing is that there's no garbage or disgusting foam, and occasionally there are people rowing by. It is indeed the same city, but in a corner of the city it feels like a tourist town. The square was filled with white pigeons. Some people were feeding the pigeons, and then some naughty children chased them away. The white pigeons flew up with a splash and landed in another place in the square. They were not afraid of people at all. They live here. I bought a hat with gauze and put it on the roadside. Hood's British style became stronger. There was some nostalgia in her tone. Yes, they live here. Admiral thinks it is very beautiful here. Sugu nodded. She was indeed very beautiful, no worse than her hometown tourist city. In fact, the main reason is that the styles are different, and there is no way to compare them at all. Ginger has been returned to Hood. Hood is now holding two cats in one hand. She looks up at the blue sky. I used to think that after the war is over, I will enjoy the blue sky, sea breeze, and quiet afternoon tea. After I left the town hall, I fell in love with the city when I first saw it and wanted to live in a place like this. Sugu said, Hood, to be honest, it's better not to set up the textbook death flag. I know that the war will not end easily. Just live in the moment. It's the only way. Looking back on life in the town hall, most of the time I had nothing to do. There is no denying that those garrisoned in dangerous sea areas often encounter battles, but just as the warships can eliminate battleships, the main reason is that they do not need so many personnel rations, supplies are quite easy, and training is also easy. Not during the battle, the life of a ship girl is still very comfortable. And then Hood. Sugu couldn't help but said, to be honest, Huda, don't you feel guilty? The company has been busy with the reputation, and you are not in the town hall. How long have you been without an attack? What day did you not have afternoon tea? Forced to be sentimental, the tone is well controlled and will not give people the feeling of ridicule. As a literary girl with a bourgeois heart, I have actually thought about many stories about the male and female protagonists after the war. It seems that I can't tell them now. Hood said, Admiral, you have ruined all the good atmosphere, but speaking of it, I have never had anything to do. I actually lived here for more than half a month before, but it was fine at the beginning and I didn't have any reputation. It's inconvenient to live nearby. And I feel bored after living there for a long time. But if you want to retire, it's good to live here. Sure enough, if you can't do it without reputation, Sugu said, your mentality is already old. Hood bit his lip. Admiral, can't you not bully me? Hood, I just said that your mentality is old, but I didn't say that your appearance is also old. If you think about it carefully, I am praising you for being beautiful, can't you tell? Huda likes to be quiet and read, but she is not the kind of girl with exquisite skills and quick thinking. She thought about it for a moment and said, "It seems to be the same thing, but I always feel that something is wrong." While talking, they walked through a small alley. On the road, I saw someone holding a guitar and playing, and there was a guitar case on the ground. There are also girls standing on the bridge singing, or hanging their voices. I don't quite understand. If there's nothing else, I wouldn't mind sitting nearby and listening, but I can't do that at this time. In fact, it didn't take much time to walk, and finally we found our destination, where everyone lives. Standing in front of the door, Sugu found that Hood and Counterattack were looking at him. Sugu took a breath, stretched out his hand and clenched it into a fist to knock on it. Dong dong dong. I thought a lot in my mind, but after waiting for a long time, I didn't hear the voice of "Wait a moment" from the door, and no one opened the door. Sugu said, "Probably not here. He has encountered this situation many times. After all, not everyone is a homebody like Bazai who likes to be bored at home all day long. Even if there is no book to read, even if there is nothing to do, whether sleeping or dazing, you must stay at home and never go out." It was quite inconvenient not to have a mobile phone. Sugu continued, "Isn't today the weekend?" He countered, "No. Hood has lived here for many days and knows everyone well." She said, "Their work has nothing to do with weekends. Since they are not at home, let's go to the beach to see them. They usually like to go there. The unicorn is sitting high playing the harp on the rocks. I feel like a spirit of the sea." Countered, "Siren." Sugu said, "Your description is wrong. Sirens, they like to seduce sailors on passing ships with their beautiful songs, and then bury them in the belly of fish. It is wrong to use such sirens to describe unicorns." He countered, "We are still a ship, and we are not yet a ship girl. Don't use myths and stories to say that the siren is no longer a sea monster." Sugu thought about it. Boats, guns, planes, tanks, anything can be transformed into a girl. Monster girls are no longer a problem. After all, the cute dolphin forces have nothing to fear. However, that didn't stop him from counterattacking. "You've really learned to be arrogant." Sticking out her tongue in return, she also learned to behave. Hood said, "Anyway, the unicorn is sitting on the rocks at the seaside holding the harp, playing the harp and singing songs. It looks so beautiful. It has an ethereal feeling that no one else has." In this way, everyone followed Hood to the beach, and no unicorn was seen here either. Finally, Hood took everyone to the place where the unicorn worked, a grand theater with luxurious decorations, judging from the appearance. Hood looked at the program list that had not been removed in front of the theater. "They have a performance today." Sugu looked around at the program list, but couldn't figure out why. After all, outside, everyone wouldn't use the name of the ship. They all had their own names. Where are they? Hood stretched out his slender finger and pointed. "The unicorn plays the princess, and the royal ark plays the prince. Ark royal as prince." Usually everyone likes to speak in plain English, but Ark Royal speaks as if she is reciting lines. Although she can't do it now, she is very good at it. Hood paused. "First meeting, young commander, I will be the arrows under your command pierce the darkness shrouding this world. It is a pity that she does not have carrier-based aircraft." Countered, "Where is the swordfish?" Sugu said, "I don't know." Hudadao said to Sugu, "As an aircraft carrier, Ark Royal can only perform here. Admiral, you have a responsibility." He countered in frustration, "You still discussed it with us in a serious manner, without any shame. I have never practiced Ark Royal at all, and I have removed the carrier-based aircraft from my memory and stopped taking care of them. But to say how ashamed I am is actually nothing. After all, it was just games at first. However, if you don't mean it's not possible, you can't be confident either." Sugu said, "What happened in the past is in the past, and I will never do it again. I will make it up to her in the future. Counterattack. To understand the situation in the town hall, does the townhouse still have extra carrier-based aircraft? Sugu said, yes, it's with York City. What about York City? Sugu smiled and said nonchalantly, Longzao. Who told her to oppose me all day long? I am the admiral. If you dare to do this, she will definitely run to your room holding a pillow and make trouble. That's best. Come to my room. After all, York City, who was becoming more and more unruly, might actually do such a thing. Sugu was helpless. Speaking of, whose ship is the Ark Royal or York City? Pretend to be better. He countered, I don't know, but Ark Royal is at least better than Zeppelin. Don't compare aircraft carriers with light carriers, even though they are the strongest light carriers. I stood at the entrance of the theater for a while, but the show had already started. Obviously there was no way to buy another ticket to enter the theater, and there was nothing that scalpers could do about it. We couldn't wait any longer, so in the end everyone had to sit in an open-air shop outside the Grand Theater, drinking drinks and talking. Who had said, unicorns and Ark Royal are very popular, and I receive a lot of flowers every time. Sugu said, when they come out, how about I go up with a big bouquet of flowers? Yes, they will be very happy. Forget it, it feels awkward. What's so embarrassing about boys giving flowers to girls? Have you never sent flowers to everyone in the guardhouse? Sugu admitted honestly, very few. Who had remembered that he had been bullied and raised his chin with a smile, love is so stingy. Sugu said, there are so many people in the garrison, how can I send them away? There are too many people and many things are inconvenient. If you buy a gift for one person, to be fair, buy it for everyone. Of course there is a distinction between closeness and distance, but this distinction cannot be made too obvious. Although everyone won't say much or do anything that would make someone jealous, probably. In short, Sugu would not do anything too partial. If he wanted to express his love, he would do it secretly in most cases. Who had worked tirelessly, send flowers, the unicorn likes you very much. Ark Royal probably doesn't like it. If you don't like it, you need to send flowers. Moreover,